Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Umineko Chapter 8. We're in quite an unusual situation here where goats of the theories of the past, yes, that's right, ghosts, not ghosts, although one could say they're basically ghosts from the future, are devouring everything on the island, minus the chapel and I guess the second floor of the mansion. They eat everything, from the bedrock to the ocean, the bricks, the lampposts, everything. They're probably the most hungry goats you've ever seen, and they got, depending on what theories they believe in, they also become resistant or immune to any attacks of the characters in the story. Bit awkward when you have a gun and they say, your gun doesn't exist, your magic gun doesn't exist, therefore you can't hurt me. Luckily, if you don't believe in magic, there's two detectives around to slay you. So, they're not goats, they're goats! They're the goats! Although honestly, most of their theories kind of suck. We've seen some people with solid theories, or at least ones that were harder to disprove immediately, either because they masquerade as a different type or something else. Let's see what's happening next. At the same time, they're both sealed inside a closed room locked with a chain. Right, okay, so what we're actually going into is Battler and Erica having a closed room puzzle showdown. Right. Right, okay, let's see if we can solve this faster than Battler solves his. Right, Erica wanted a showdown with Battler to solve a closed room the best. Okay. We don't really know the rules of this, but apparently they're both going into they're both being sealed inside a room locked with a chain. Of course, it's very easy to set and unset the chain from the inside. However, stepping into their opponent's chained room would be difficult. They were fighting to the death with two chain closed rooms at once. Okay. There could be no better closed room duel for these two, who had battled with theories concerning chained rooms so often. Bruto Erica committed suicide, died in an accident, died of an illness, died by some reason other than homicide. Okay, first good proposition. Sure.
She says
it wasn't a suicide, it wasn't accidental death, and it wasn't death by illness. I really was killed by you, Battler-san. A murder committed by slipping poison. We don't have any concept. Are they just throwing ideas at each other without ever looking? Okay, it's a murder committed by slipping poison gas through the crack of the door, filling the room with water and drowning you, sucking the oxygen out of the room and making you suffocate. Filling the room with CO2. CO2 is a non-toxic gas that you commonly breathe. You commonly have it in your mix. Same with nitrogen, would also make you suffocate. No poison gas, no drowning. No death by suffocation. Who is this blue rat? Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you immediately identified them as a blue rat, though, because you're halfway there. Hello, Fruito. Closed room murder with poison gas? Death by drowning? Suffocation? Evidently, that's not on the table. That's not in the cards, I guess. Something funny about that? Alright, funny, isn't it? Is it? I don't know that. Good, good. Alright, Erica. Ratatouille. She's not nearly as good at puppeting people. Ushirimiya Battler committed suicide, died in an accident, and was killed by an... I guess they're not going to tell us anything about the closed room. They're just going to show them making predictions, since I guess we're getting close towards the end of the game. Alright. Time for me to test your closed room. Oh yeah, we should probably put... Oh. Red truth. Alright. You got some red truth for me? Test that closed room, dude. We aren't given any information for this one, though, mostly because it's just a showdown and not actually a puzzle for the reader. Ushiromiya Battler was stabbed to death. Let's say the weapon was a knife, stabbed right into his back. Okay. Okay. Good, good. Nothing beats a classic closed room. Are they just like dueling without ever knowing what the circumstances of the room look like and just have to work it out by asking or guessing? Why don't you try it out too? Take that challenge with the red truth. Furudo Erika was stabbed to death. Okay. The weapon was a knife stuck right in her back. Very interesting. I'll tear your clothes into bits. Okay, so they both died, knife in the back. So two people dead. Knives in the back. And NJ is just like, what's this supposed to be? Battler's busy at the moment. For now, I shall be your opponent. Beto had sealed the chapel with a closed room barrier. Unless the riddle was smashed with blue truth, NJ wouldn't be able to leave another closed room barrier, right? We've invented these new concepts and we're using them? Okay. After shrugging impatiently, NJ finally faced Beto. This was introduced as a concept. The closed room magic barrier was introduced like 5 minutes ago. So, okay. They haven't explained it, but I guess you have to solve a closed room in order to pass through a closed room barrier? This might be the first time I've fought you directly. Oh, yeah. Is it now? Very well, let's see what you've got. The battlers in here at the moment. When he's not around, I sometimes forget how to hold back. What a coincidence. I feel the same. Alright, got a puzzle. I killed you inside a perfect closed room with windows, doors, and all other methods of entry or exit blocked. Alright, I'll play along with your game. Repeat it. Sure, sure. Are we gonna get one of the puzzles? Or are they just gonna like say that someone solved it, or just have them throwing words at each other? I'm curious. It seems like they haven't actually given us this proper scenario yet, other than that in the Battler and Erika's, we just got 2 people who were stabbed in the back. 1 for each closed room.
そこでですね。
And then you see.
第1回〇〇社ミステリー大賞応募作品中に八条先生が再び偽名にて原稿をお寄せになったという形にいたしまして。
What? And then you see, we'll set it up so that among the works entered in Company X's mystery novel contest, yet another one of the great Hachijo's works will appear under a false name.
もちろん映画化、テレビドラマ化、すべてが同時にリンクして動く形になっておりまして。
We'll then move on with the movie version and a TV drama bundle.
ぜひ先生の玉稿を我が〇〇社にお預けいただきたく。
Yet the Company X would be honored to have your manuscript. Ah yes, the illustrious Company X. Today it will be a stand-in for Netflix.
賞金は出るのですか?
Am I getting prize money out of this?
もちろんでございます。
But of course.
栄えある第1回〇〇社ミステリー大賞賞金1000万円はもちろん先生にお支払いさせていただきます。
The 10 million yen prize for Company X's first mystery novel contest will all go to you. So 100 grand?
他にもですね。他にも。
And more besides?
面白い。気に入りました。
You have my interest?
だから原稿は書かないことにします。
That's why I've decided not to write a manuscript for you.
先生、そんな。
What? Madam Hachijo, why? Everything had seemed to be going smoothly up until then, so this sudden refusal made the people from the publishing company fall over in their sofa. Alright, we got 3 arcs happening at the same time now.
私が書いた原稿よりあなた方のシナリオの方が面白い。
This scheme of yours is far more interesting than the manuscript I wrote.
ですからこの原稿は御社にお預けするにふさわしくありません。
In that case, it wouldn't be fitting to hand it over to you.
元よりくだらなき原稿。
It was always a worthless
無知
story.
猛昧なる読者がいかにそれを棚に上げて自身が推理の限りを尽くしたかのような気分になるよう誘導するだけの打分。
I wanted to lure my ignorant readers into lauding it, making them feel as though they'd performed a magnificent reasoning.
それを皮肉と気づき、人の子が自らの愚かさに苦笑する。
I was hoping you would laugh. You would recognize the irony and laugh at your own mistake, thinking you had solved something that required a great feat of
そん
reasoning.
な作品に書いたつもりが、まさか推理小説の
But
扱
it
い
looks
を
like
受
you've
けると
taken
は、
it seriously, oof.
我ながら文才のなさに呆れ果てるというも
I
の
can
です。
say I'm ashamed at my own failure as a writer. So she makes an easily solved riddle for people to laugh, for people to be tricked into believing they solved, and that they're like it was like required a cunning mind to comprehend. But the reality is, they're supposed to realize it's a joke, that it's actually supposed to be easy. Okay, that's interesting, Hachijo. A very arrogant way of writing, but alright.
とんでもない。
A little bit too late, Mr. Writer. Of course not.
どうかお許しを。どうか我が社に玉光を。
Please forgive us. Please let us use your... Too late for that, my dude.
金はいらぬが、餌が欲しいです。
I have no need for money, but some pet food would be nice.
餌？
Pet food?
先生の飼い猫の
For your cat?
梅干しの好きな猫ちゃんとの噂を。
There was a rumor you had a cat who liked dried plums.
かしこまりました。
As you wish.
至急最高級の梅干し詰め合わせを。
Quickly. Let's have a high quality assortment of dried plums brought in here.
一つずつ個別包装してあるやつで、一粒200円以上するものしか食
She
べま
only
せん。
eats the ones that are packaged separately at 200 yen per
あ
piece.
れはやがて高血圧で死ぬな。
At this rate, she'll die of high blood pressure.
キムチや辛味噌もよく舐めるし、
She snacks on kimchi and spicy miso all the time,
舌の
too.
いかれた猫であること。
There's gotta be something wrong with that cat's tongue. The cat meowed in objection from where it lay on top of the bookshelf.
この原稿は預けませんが、御社対象用に新しい原稿を執筆しましょう。
I can't give you this manuscript, but why don't I write up a new one for your company's
ただ
contest?
し、私の名前では書きません。
But I'm not gonna write it under my
御
name.
社対象の推定投稿数は1000件以上。
It's estimated that thousands of manuscripts will be sent in for your
その
contest.
中から私の匿名原稿を見事見つけ出し、その上でなお対象にふさわしいと思えたなら、
If you
その
manage to
時改
pick mine
め
it from the
て
pack,
先々の話を伺いましょう。
and if you find it deserving of the prize, I'd be happy to continue our discussion just now.
それでいかがか？
How does that sound?
ははー。玉光を賜れるだけでも至極幸福に存じまする。
Just the honor of receiving your manuscript's more than enough, so he wants to participate in the contest, but not under a name they know, so that they have to prove they can identify the best story. Interesting.
あなたたちはいつもペコペコしていて実に面白い。
You people are truly amusing. Fawning and cringing all the time.
だが今日はもう飽きました。
I've grown weary of this for
お
today.
帰りなさい。
Leave.
人の子に会うのは実に疲れる。
Meeting with the children of men can be so tiring.
はー。ご拝謁賜れましたことを深く御礼申し上げまする。
Grateful for your kindness in allowing this meeting. Alright. A servant guided the people from the publishing company to the door. In the study that was now finally quiet, Hachijo Toya let out a sigh and slumped down in a sofa, gazing at the ceiling.
疲れるが、
Oh, new
たま
background.
には人の子の刺激も悪くない。
It's tiring, but the stimulation of talking with a child of man isn't such a bad thing in small
定期
doses.
的に人と会いなさいよ。
It's good for you to talk to people every now and then.
ボケるわよ。引きこもってると。
You'll go senile if you stay shut in all the time. Probably true. You don't talk to anyone, I guess. The black cat leapt from the bookshelf and landed softly on the carpet. Then its form silently twisted and became that of Bernkastel. And this is a new background as well, this house interior. Indeed. Ah, it's another shot of the living room, main floor. Okay. It certainly can be amusing. Inviting them over now, and then can go a long way towards alleviating my boredom. In the event, I think I'll write that manuscript when I feel like it. Seems like they'll even bring a gift for you. What's all this about pet fish? How rude. That's what it is. Here. Hachijo picked up a jar from the shelf, took a dried plum out and threw it into the air. In an instant, Bernkastel turned back into a black cat and caught it in midair and started munching away. What's all this about cat food? This is degrading. Immediately turns into a cat. Eat it. Madam Hachijo, your guests have departed. A servant knocked on the door before making this announcement. I didn't even know she had servants. Let me know if that one wakes up. As you wish. Would you like some tea? Ange is napping? Yes. There's a moxa. I'm gonna write for a bit. Please don't disturb me. Yeah. Including inflation, around 100k is quite the big prize money. Depends. Depends on how much they really, really like you. I mean, how many books did, for a movie and TV deal, for like someone to come to you and be like, please write a manuscript for a book, we will publish the book and then do a movie and TV deal for it. She's got to be pretty popular for them to request that. And like, how much money would that be worth? Like, if she's that well known, it could be worth more than that, honestly. Like 100k in today's money. Because what, like, depending on how good of a writer you are, how well known you are, like, you could be making way more money off of a single book. Like, J.K. Rowling is like got over $1 billion from Harry Potter as a writer. $1 billion. So 100k may not actually be that much. Although if it's just for a contest and it only takes her like a couple of weeks to put out, that's pretty impressive for the amount of work. But maybe she should be looking for maybe like 7-8 digits would be more important. If you're like that renowned. If you're so renowned that they're willing to do something like that and guarantee you a movie and TV series, like 100k is not that much. If you think about it, to get a script for like to get a working script for like a movie, TV series, and book, all of which are going to be bestsellers or critically acclaimed, like, might be worth more than 100 grand, man. Probably worth more. If you could guarantee a hit in a movie, I'm sure they would pay more than 100 grand. She's renowned as an author without a publisher. After the servant's footsteps disappear into the distance, Hachijo moved to her desk. Ah, a typewriter. The desk certainly looked as though it belonged to a great writer, with pages of manuscripts scattered across it. Even though the century is almost over, you still write with a pen? That looks like a typewriter to me, dude. The black cat spoke as it tore the dried plum apart with its mouth. Tales are to be written with ink. Me, that is an unbreakable rule. You write it once with ink and type the whole thing over again with a keyboard? Pretty stupid doing the same thing twice. I think it has some use when you're editing your own story. Because that means, I think if you have to write your own story twice, or write your own essay twice, you will find uncomfortable spots for grammar, or things that could be revised, that don't make sense when you reread it. Same with reading things backwards. Like, for example, I've typed up parts of an essay and had some mishap or another happen where for whatever reason I lose my progress. You know, I accidentally close without saving my word or whatever, right? And then I go back and I go to write it down based on my notes, and I realize like the way I was writing it was actually really awkward. Or I think that it's gone, so I begin writing a new paragraph, and then I realize the paragraph already existed right below it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this paragraph has awkward moments because I'm rereading it. So I think it's not actually useless. It's good for like editing and clarifying sections that maybe are subpar, even if they didn't look at that, even if they didn't feel like that when you were writing them.
ならばなぜ人の子は心の中で物語を描き、それをわざわざキーボードで打ち直すというのか。
Why does a child of man draw up a tale in their mind and then spit the whole thing out again on a keyboard? Oh, good counter argument to that. If doing it twice is dumb, why do people come up with the idea and then write it out? And she's gonna say, oh, because you're intending to share with other people and that's gonna be the same response.
人の子の二度手間もバカバカしい。
How foolish of them to do the same thing twice.
ならあんたは三度手間ってわけだわ。
Looking at it that way, you're doing the same thing 3 times. It's only 50% more than 2.
今のは面白かった。
A good one. Even as Hachijo laughed, her fountain pen was already sliding across the page. Beautiful letters appeared almost as fast and proficiently as a typewriter. Only humans called her creations manuscripts. With her fountain pen and writing paper, she was creating a world. As she did, the hands of the clock would spin around her like a top. The light and shadows that came in through the window changed their angle so fast, they might have been the hands of a clock themselves. Slowly, she drew a large X across the tightly packed words on the paper.
気乗りしないの?
Trouble?
うまく書けぬ。
I can't draw it out well.
人を楽しませる原稿とはめんどくさいものだな。
Writing a manuscript to please people is such a pain.
何しろ普段人に読ませるために文字など書かぬのでな。
After all, I don't usually write for other people to read.
あんた、自分が何を言ってるのか、いっぺん原稿用紙に書いてみるといいわ。
You should try writing down whatever it is you're saying on that manuscript paper. Okay. Bernkastel curled up on the sofa, a mocking smile on her face. Normally, whenever Hachijo was writing, Bernkastel would never let herself be noticed, much less talk to her. However, Bernkastel realized that the other was apparently getting bored with her manuscript, so she yawned and started talking.
何を書いてるの? さっきから。
What is it you're writing anyway?
人の子に捧げる物語だ。
A tale to give to a child of man.
どこの人の子?
Which child?
我に朗読を捧げたる巫女に約束した物語だ。
A tale I promised to write for a Miko who once read for me.
ああ。
Ah, Ange is getting her manuscript.
まだ書いてたの。
You're still writing that?
何を書けばあれは満足するのか。
I can't think of anything to write.
私にはもう
Nothing that would give her
わからんのだ。
satisfaction.
またアウアウが投げ出したわ。
Looks like Aoao's given up again.
あんたはいつだって勝手に物語を約束して最後まで書ききれ
You
なく
always
なって投
promise
げ出すのね。
to write a story, get stuck before you're finished and give up.
投げ出さぬからこうして悩んでいる。
If I had given up, I wouldn't be worrying over it like this. Well,
エンジが
that's
望む
true.
物語は最初から一つしかないわ。
There's only one tale that Ange's wanted from the beginning.
一なる真実の物語か。
The tale of the single truth.
エンジはあの日に何があったのか知りたいと希望しているわ。
Ange said she wanted to know what happened that day.
それを煙に巻く物語をいくら書いたって満
No
足
matter
する
how
わけ
many
もない。
tales you write that distort the truth, she'll never be satisfied. She needs the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. None of these distortions.
一なる真実よりも私の物語の方がよほど面白いと思うのだがな。
And yet, I do think my tales are more interesting than the single truth. Yeah, but she's not interested in an interesting tale, she's interested in the truth. Do you know the difference, Hachijo Toya? Or are you lost in your ability to create worlds?
エンジェは面白い物語が読みたいんじゃないのよ。
NJ doesn't want an interesting tale.
私はあの人の子に、そなたのために物語を書くと約束した。
I promised the child a man I would write a tale for her sake.
だから私は、あやつのために、あやつが喜ぶ
So I'm
物
writing
語を書いてい
a
る。
tale to please her.
どんなに面白かろうと、面白くなかろうと、
No matter how interesting or uninteresting
あ
it
んた
is,
が書くそれは、すべて幻想だわ。
everything you write's an
エンジ
illusion.
ェは、そんなものを一切望んでいない。
NJ doesn't want any of
ま
that.
だわかんないの？
Haven't you figured it out yet?
一なる真実の書は、後宮エヴァが記した。
The book of the single truth was written by Ushiramiya Eva. Hidden amongst the pile of writing paper was Eva's diary.
そして筆者は、これを誰にも明かさずに言った。
Furthermore, the one who wrote this passed away without revealing it to anyone.
私は物書きの端くれとして、それを尊重したいと思うのだ。
Being the humble writer I am, I'd like to respect that.
笑わせないで。
Don't make me laugh.
物語の腹渡引きずり出して、月見で一杯のあんたがそれを語る？
This is what's coming from the person who entertains themselves by taking a tail and tearing out its guts?
真実などつまらぬぞ。
The truth is uninteresting.
いくつもの物語の腹渡を食いちぎってきた末の感想が。
Is that your opinion
そう。
after tearing apart the guts of so many tales?
そういうことでもよい。
Might as well be said. With a self-mocking laugh, Hashijo set down her fountain pen. I don't know, I think the truth can be entertaining.
私は老いた。
I've certainly aged.
老いて最初に理解したのは、知ることより知らぬことの方が貴重であるということだ。
The first thing age taught me was that not knowing is more precious than knowing.
年寄り臭そうな話だけど、付き合ってあげる。
It sounds like something old people would say. Yeah, I'll
どう
buy
いう
it.
意味？
What do you mean by that? Alright.
知ることと知らぬこ
Knowing and not knowing.
と。この二つは不可逆的な関係
They
だ
have
と
a
いうこ
one-way
とだ。
relationship. That's true. Once you know, you generally can't not know.
そうね。
At least not intentionally.
知らぬから知るに移ることはできても、知るから知らぬには移れない。
Possible to switch from not knowing to knowing, but you can't do it the other way around? Yeah, it's pretty hard to do that
それ
generally.
を理解したとき、
When I realized that,
私は知らぬことに宿る処女性にも似た高潔なる純粋さを理解したのだ。
I saw the noble purity resembling virginity that exists in not knowing.
私は退屈から逃れるために星の数ほどのゲームを物語を腹渡を引きずり出しては食らってきた。
In my attempts to escape boredom, I've torn apart and eaten the guts of as many games and tales as there are stars in the sky. But it's more interesting to not know that because then you can endlessly theorize. Is that what she's saying?
しかしいつも退屈が癒されるのはほんの一瞬で、その儚さゆえに私は個々の物語を軽んじてきた。
But always. My relief from boredom is short-lived. It's also fleeting. I've started to ignore each tale as an individual story.
そうね。
That's right.
猫を食らえば、お楽しみは一晩でおしまいだわ。
If you eat a cat, you only get to enjoy it for one night.
でも生かしておけば、やがては悪態をついたり、皮肉を言ったりするようになるかも
But if
し
you
れな
let
い。
it live, it might start calling you names and being sarcastic.
そうだな。
It.
勝手に貸し棚を漁ったり、ベッドに忍び込んできて暑苦しいのもなかなか愉快なものだ。
Even the annoying way they break into your sweets cupboard or sneak into your bed can be part of their charm. Cats, I guess. Am I right? Hachijo looked around at the books, covering every square inch of the room, and softly petted the cat's back.
私は一つの物語をもっともっと深く長く楽しむことができたかもしれない。
Might have been able to enjoy a single tale much longer and much more deeply.
退屈から逃れるために星の数の物語を食い尽くしてきた私はそもそも初め
As
か
I've
ら
eaten my way
物
through
語を
countless
食らってな
tales
どいなかったのだ。
to escape boredom, I haven't really been eating them.
ただ殺していただけ。
I've just been killing them, just tearing them apart.
結局はそれが私を
In
も
the end,
殺す
they'll
の
kill
だ。
you back. Because you've seen everything there. You think you've seen everything there is to see? Fair enough. Hachijo laughed with self-derision. It's better not to know the answer to everything. I think that's true in some regards. When you're building a setting, I think it's best to have some things that are unexplained, so that people can theorize about what happened in those stories, rather than having them written out for you and removing everything. So it's really cool to build a setting. You know, you build your fantasy setting, and they have big battles in the past and epic wars. They have the War of the Ancients, or they have the War in Heaven, and these they reference them loosely or mention some events that were caused by them, but they never go into them in detail. And it's important to have those things, because not only that are unexplained, like, you know they exist, that probably was an event that happened, but you don't know enough about it. It's important to have things like that, because that way your world feels more real, because there are things in real life that people don't know enough about, or people don't know every detail about, right? Even things that people generally know a lot about, there are things that, like, people don't necessarily, an individual doesn't necessarily know everything about them. So it's important to have things like that that are unexplained, that are, like, not thoroughly explained to the reader, so they can theorize. And that it's also exciting because while you don't know what it is, it could be anything. So you'll think of something really cool, and then in your own head, you'll expand the world in that direction, and the world will become that much. The world will be filled with that much more depth and possibility than you as a writer necessarily need to add to it. And if you decide to break it open, you're resolving infinite possibilities and awesome things into whatever you write, reducing the depth of your world to exactly what happened there. So unless you spend like 1,000 books writing about a single event, it's always going to feel like it has less depth than it could have previously. So you always got to leave some of those. You always got to leave some holes for the reader's imagination to fill in. Hachijo laughed with self-derision. Even in Beato's game, you tried to tear the guts out. I just wanted to check my answers. I tried to do it in a way that respected Beatrice, weaver of the tale. Yeah. I think it was pretty well read, all done so people who didn't understand wouldn't figure it out.
Ange が真実を知ることと知らぬこととどちらが良い物語となるのか
Will it make for a better tale if Ange learns the truth?
もう私にはわからぬ。だからそなたに再び軽蔑されることを覚悟の上で
To be honest, I don't quite know anymore.
私はこの物語の続きを書くことをやめようと思う。
So, fully aware you'll score me for it, I decided to stop writing for the rest of this tale.
やめてどうすんの？
What do you mean?
私は書かぬ。
I won't write
記
it.
すだけだ。
I'm merely recording
後
it.
ろ宮エンジェが自ら紡ぐ物語をな。
A tale that Ushirmiya Ange weaves herself.
またそういうことをするのね。
You're doing that again?
私は真実を知らぬことをあえて選ぶ方が高潔であると1000年を生き飽きた末に思う。
After growing tired of 1,000 years of life, I've decided choosing not to know the truth is the more noble path.
しかし100年も生きぬエンジェにその価値観を押し付けるのも酷であると
However,
今理解した。
I see now that it isn't really fair to force my opinion on Ange who hasn't even lived 100 years.
だから
That's fair.
エンジェに委ねようと。
Do you leave it in Ange's care?
そうだ。
Exactly.
それを私は淡々と記す。
I will silently record it as it
エン
plays
ジ
out.
に委ねるということはもうこの物語の向かう先は半ば決まったようなも
If
の
you're
だ
leaving
け
it to Ange, the rest of this tale is pretty much set in stone then,
そう
right?
なるだろうな。
So it would seem. So
それ
it
でよ
would
い。
seem. Let it be so.
私が記すどのような物語よりも結局は人の子が自ら紡ぐ物語の方が面白いのだから。
After all, in the end, a tale a child of man weaves for herself will be more fun than any story I could create. Okay, so Hachijo Choya is no longer writing the story. She's just letting Ange make her own decisions.
ならエンジェの物語に付き合ってあげたら？
In that case, why not lend a hand in Ange's tale?
出番はもう作ってあげたでしょ？
I mean, you've already given yourself a role in it, haven't you? True. She does have a role. As
私
Feathery
は
and
この物
Aurora.
語にピリオドを打つ役目か。
So is my role to bring this tale to its conclusion?
レアとのゲーム風にもっとかっこよく言ってほしいわ。
Well, there's no way for someone in Beato's game to talk.
猫箱の腹渡を引きずり出す役目よ。
It's your job to tear out the guts of the cat box. Bring about knowledge of the truth. Hachijo chuckled, pushed aside the pile of writing paper, and picked up the single book of the single truth. Sorry. Then she opened a locked drawer.
エンジェが望むのだ。
That's what Ange
この
desires.
書の封印は解かれる運命にあるだろ
Perhaps book's seal is fated to be
う。エン
broken.
ジェは一なる真実に至り、一なる真実は猫箱の封印を開いて全てを白日にさらす。
Ange will reach the single truth. The truth will break the seal in the cat box, and everything will be exposed to the light of day.
それをもってネットの海に無数にばらまかれた愉快なる妄想のボトルメッセージとかけらは
So
全て海の泡となって消え果てる。
all of those countless message bottles and fragments, made of delightful imaginings, scattered across the ocean of the internet.
あやつももうそのようなかけらには疲れ果てただろうからな。
It'll fade like foam on the sea after all. Even that person is surely tired of such fragments.
もうあの子も旅を終えてもいい頃だわ。
About time for her journey to end too.
引き受けようではないか。
Alright, let's accept this
その
task.
度に終着駅を与える役目を。
As our role demands. Let's give this journey an end to the line. At that moment, there were sounds of someone in the hallway. The instant someone knocked on the door, Bernkastel turned back into a black
先生、
cat.
執筆中失礼いたします。
Madam Hachijo, please forgive me for interrupting. It was the voice of Hachijo's servant.
何か
What is it?
電話なら断ってください。
If it's a phone call, tell them I'm
Yeah.
busy. Not there.
トーヤ様がお目覚めになりました。
Oya-sama's woken up.
ありがとう。軽
Thank
食
you.
の準備を
Prepare a
私
light
の分
meal.
も一緒に。
Enough for the two of
か
us.
しこまりました。
As you wish. Who's Toya-sama if she's Toya? Hachijo stood up. Then she shut the open drawer and locked it again. Inside the drawer lay a glittering golden key.
副賞要求。
Repeat.
密室の定義は内外からのあらゆる出入りを否定するものである。
The definition of a closed room prevents all varieties of entry and exit.
副賞拒否
I refuse.
可能なる密室殺人の定義は完全なる密室の定義とは一致しない。
By definition, it's impossible for a closed room murder to take place inside of a perfect closed room.
チェーンが破壊後に修復された可能性。
The chain might have been repaired after it was
扉
destroyed.
が破壊後に修復された可能性。
The door might have been repaired after it was destroyed.
壁が破壊後に修復された可能性。
The wall might have been repaired after it was destroyed.
俺の密室にはいかなる修復も存在しない。
My closed room doesn't involve anything being repaired. Don't include rebuilding or destroying a wall in your closed room. That would be super lame.
本当に楽しいですね。
Getting fun
パ
battles.
トレさん。
悪いが今はお前と遊んでる暇がねえんだよ。
Sorry. I don't have time to play with you right now.
こちらこそ悪いですが、真実の魔女の同志エンジェさんの邪魔をさせるわけにはいきま
Sorry
せ
too,
ん。
but as a fellow witch of truth, I can't let you get an Ange-san's way.
そういやお前も真実の魔女だったな。
Come to think of it, you are a witch of truth too, aren't
なるほ
you?
ど。エンジェの先輩魔女ってわけだ。
I guess that makes you a sort of mentor to Ange.
一なる真実。
The single
それ
truth.
こそが思考にして究
It's
極。
supreme. It's ultimate.
それに至る全ての障害を打ち破ることのできる魔女こそが真実の魔女です。
Only a witch of truth can break down all barriers that stand between her and that truth.
そんなにも一なる真実とやらが大事か。
Is this single truth of yours really so important?
世の中には
There are lots of things in this world not worth knowing, but that's not for Battler to
エンジ
decide.
にとって1986年にどれほどの意味があるってんだ。
How important is 1986 to NJ,
何
really?
もない。
It's not important at all? Who are you, Battler? Fuck off. You can say whether or not something is important to you, but I don't, and whether or not you think it should be important to someone else. I don't think you can say something is important to someone else, though, or not important to someone else.
ないでしょうね。
You're probably right.
1986年に何があったってなくたって。
No matter what happened or didn't happen in 1986,
1998年に生きるエンジェさんには
it
何の変
changes
化もな
nothing
い。
for the NJ living in 1998.
それが知ることの無意味さです。
There's no point in learning
で
that
す
truth.
が、一つだけ変えられることがあります。
But there's one thing that will change.
それはなんだ。
And what's that?
どう生きるかです。
How she lives. Erica transformed her reasoning into a scythe's blade and lashed out at Battler over and over. Battler created a blade from his reasoning and attacked Erica over and over. In the middle of all this, he questioned Erica, the girl who, like NJ, called herself a witch of truth. What's the point of exposing the truth?
そうだな。人は知ることで、どう生きるかを変えることもあるだろう。
Knowing often changes how a person lives their life.
俺は肉親として願う。
In that case, I have one hope as her blood
エン
relative.
ジが俺のゲームの末により良い生き方に人生を変えてくれることをな。
I hope that at the end of my game, NJ finds a better way to live her life.
知ることで人の生き方は変わりますが、それが良い
Knowing
ものにな
may
るか
change
は
how
分か
people
り
live,
か
but
ね
it
ます。
doesn't always change them in a good direction. That's true, Erica.
世の中には知らない方が快適なこともたくさんありますので。
There are plenty of things in the world that you'd be more comfortable not knowing.
電車の座席シートに生息するダニの数、
The number of ticks living in the seats on a
水
train.
道水にまつわる不衛生な都市伝
The
説。
urban legends about nasty stuff in the tap water.
知らねえ方がマシな話はキリがねえぜ。
The world's full of things you're better off not knowing. Yep.
一なる真実の書は確かにこの島で何があったのかをエンジェに教えるだろう。
The book of single truth probably can teach NJ what happened on the island.
しかしそれを知って何の意味がある。
What's the point of her knowing that?
12年前の悲しみが増すばかりじゃねえか。
It just increased the sadness she felt for 12 years. Yeah, but she's pursuing it all the same because it's important
一
to her.
体エンジェはさらにあと何年をかければ一人の女の子としての幸せを享受できるってんだよ。
How many more years will it take for her to find happiness as an ordinary
一
girl?
体何年をかければその傷口は癒されるんだよ。
How many years will it take for her wounds to be healed? NJ's desire to find the truth is hurting her, regardless of what the truth actually is. Though her deep wounds were slow to heal, they did begin to do so during those 12 years. However, she kept picking at the scabs. In her search for the truth, she tore at the wounds herself, opening them up once more.
エンジはもう1986年の悲しみから解放されていいん
For
だ。
NJ to be free of the sadness of 1986. Yeah, but you're not the one who decides that, Battler.
それが俺たち後ろ宮家全員の願いなんだ。
And that's what all us Ushiromias pray for?
そんなの知ったこっちゃありません。真実こそ全て、真実こそ正義。
Truth is everything. The truth is justice.
中学の頃に誰もが一度はかかる病気だな。
The truth is everything. It's a disease that everyone gets at least once, usually in middle
大人
school.
が隠すことをやたらと知りたくなる。
If they just love to find out all those things adults are hiding.
それを暴くのが
Don't you
楽
think
し
it's
いんじゃ
fun
な
to
いです
expose
か。
things like that?
ああ、そうだな。
Totally,
大
totally.
人の本はこそこそ隠れて読むから楽しいんだぜ。
Reading dirty books wouldn't be nearly so fun if you didn't have to do it in secret. Okay.
そなたの青きくさびの
We
す
don't
べ
get a
て
real
を
puzzle for that.
赤き真実によって否定する。
I deny all your wedges with the red
そ
truth.
なたの提示するすべての方法でわらわの密室を破ることはできぬ。
None of the methods you suggest could defeat my closed room. Ange was breathing heavily. The book of the single truth was right before her eyes. If she could just defeat Beato, she'd be able to take the book to Bernkastel and she could read what was inside. Even though the truth of the final family conference on October 4th, 5th, and 5th of 1986 was right there, the Golden Witch stood in her way. Her anger and hatred spun around inside her head, wiping out the composure necessary to theory-making. Ange shook her head several times, clearing away everything that got in the way of calming her mind. However, no matter how many times she thought it through, the closed room sealing her in the chapel was perfect. Ange is not particularly familiar with the mystery genre. However, she knew about all the fragments containing Beato's games so far. Her knowledge was shallow, but it should still have been enough to get her a good foothold. However, no matter how many blue truths she shot at Beato, none of them even made the witch flinch. Beato blew them apart with the red truth and an elegant wave of her pipe.
いい加減に諦めよ。
It's about time you gave up.
わらわはそなたとゲームをしているつもりさえない。
I don't even view this as a game between the two of us.
絶対に解けない問題とでも言いたげね。
Are you implying I could never solve this puzzle?
バトラがエリカをもてなし終えるまでの時間稼ぎよ。
I mean, I'm just buying time until Battler finishes dealing with Erica.
そなたの頭を冷やせるのは
He's the only
バ
one
トラだけだ。
who can bring you to your senses.
頭を冷やす
Bring me to my
私があんた
senses.
たちが一なる真実を私から隠すからでしょうが。
You're the ones making me do this by hiding the single truth.
だから私はあんたたちに抗
That's
う。
why I'm fighting you.
これは権利よ。
My
私
right.
には後宮家の最後の一人として真実を知る権利がある。
As final member of the Ashiromiya family, I have a right to know the truth.
そうだ。だからこそこの最後のゲームなの。
And that's the purpose of this final game.
そうね。この最後のゲームが与えられなかったら、私には真実に至るチャンスさえ与えられなかった。
Without this final game, I wouldn't have been given a chance to reach the truth.
その点についてだけは私も感謝しているわ。
At least for that one thing, I'll be grateful.
1986年に
That's for
何
what
があっ
happened in
た。
1986.
何が親族を、そ
As
して
for who
家
took
族
your
を奪っ
relatives
た
and family away from you.
それを知りたいと願うそなたの気持ちは人間としては真っ当なものだ。
As a human, your desire to know the truth is quite natural, of course.
それを理解してなおバトラはそなたが1986年に回帰するべきではないと思った。
However, even knowing this, Battler decided it would be best if you didn't return to 1986. Battler doesn't make my decisions for me. He's fucking dead.
お兄ちゃんの言いたいことはわかるわよ。
And I know what Oni-chan's trying to
過
say.
去を振り返らず未来を見て生きろとか言うつもりでしょ。
He's telling me to look into the future and live instead of being stuck in the past, right?
そうだ。
Right.
それをバトラは
Battler wanted to use this final
この
game
最後のゲームを
to
も
show you that.
そなたに
なら答えは早々に出てるわ。
In that case, there's no need to keep waiting for
ノ
my
ーサン
answer.
キューよ黄金の魔女。
The answer is no thank you, Golden
私
Witch.
は1986年にもう死
I
んでいた。
died back in
そ
1986.
の後12年間も亡霊として一人ぼっちでさまよったわ。
I've wandered like a ghost for 12 years since then.
そしてエヴァおばさんが死んで私が亡霊としてさえ地上にとどまる理由がなくなった。
When Aunt Eva died, I lost my only reason to stick around on this earth as a ghost.
だから最後に一つだけ自分が本当にしたいことをして死のうと決めたの。
That's why I decided to do one last thing before ending my life. One last goal.
それが1986年の真実を
And the thing is
知る
learning
こ
the
とだ
truth
と
of
いう。
1986. Got a problem with it?
ああ悪いぞ愚か者。
Of course, foolish girl, of
で
course.
はそなたは真実に至ったなら死んでしまうということ。
If you reach the truth, you'll
な
die.
らば至らせるわけにはいかぬ。
In that case, I can't let you have
ど
it.
こまでも煙に巻いてそなたを生き延びさせねばな。
I have to trick you and blind you as much as I can to keep you
バ
alive.
トラはそなたに生きることを望んでいる。
Battler wants you to live.
真実のない生なんて死んでいるのと同じよ。
Living without truth's no better than
私
dying.
は生きるために知ろうとしている。
I'm trying to find the truth so I can live.
そなたは今死ぬために知ろうとしていると言ったぞ。
But you just admitted you were looking for the truth so you could die.
ああそうね。
That's
じゃあ
right.
言い直す。
Let me rephrase
私は
that.
死ぬために知ろうとしてるの。
I'm trying to find the truth so I can
そして
die.
自分の命と引き換えにベルンカステルと契約したのよ。
I offered my life when I made my contract with
あの日
Bernkastel.
に何があったのか知るためにね。
Also, I could learn what happened that day.
一なる
Yep.
真実は私が自ら手にするメイドの土産なのよ。
I die, you wanna... Yeah, she seems a little bit torn on whether or not she seems to maybe want to live but thinks she can't live because of her deal with Bernkastel, or maybe she's not certain if she wants to live or die. I think it's the uncertainty. Yeah, that single truth will be the souvenir I take with me to hell. I sacrificed everything so I could find out this truth. Yeah.
無駄だ。
It's useless.
そなたにこの密室は破れぬ。
You cannot break this closed
この
room.
密室は完璧だ。
This closed room is
にも
perfect.
かかわらず、そなたをこの密室で
And yet I will kill you in
わらわが
this
殺す。
closed room. He tried every theory, idea, and bit of nonsense she could think of. However, none had any effect on Beato. Powerless and frustrated with the book of the single truth right before her eyes, Ange bit her lower lip.
本来はそなたに与えた鍵にてそなたに未来を選ばせるゲームだった
At first, it's supposed to be a game in which you were given a key that you could decide your future with.
嘘だわ。こ
Liar.
うして礼拝堂に隠して私にはあんたたちの望む前向きな未来の扉とやらでも選ばせるつもりだったんでしょ。
You wanted to hide the truth in this chapel and make me choose a door that would lead to some optimistic future.
そんなのは選択じゃない。
That's
押し
not a
付けだわ。
And you're trying to decide for me.
親はこの選択肢から不適当なものを間引く権利を有す
Parents have the right to prevent their children from making unsuitable choices. Battler is neither your parent nor your guardian.
私は子供じゃないわ。
I'm not a
自
kid.
分で考えて行動できる18歳の女よ。
I'm an 18-year-old woman who can think and act for herself.
たわけが
Ooh.
過去のこと以外何も考えることができぬ6歳の小娘であろうが
You're a 6-year-old girl who can't think of anything except the past?
誰のせいでよ。
And whose fault is that?
あんたのせいで
Oh, wait.
私はいつまでも6歳のままなんじゃない。
Because of you, I've been stuck as a 6-year-old this whole time? Okay.
真実を覆い隠すあんたの幻想を今こそ打ち破る。
And now it's time for me to tear apart your illusion covering the
そ
truth?
うね。思えばあんたは今こうして礼拝堂に私を閉じ込めてるんじゃな
I
い。
mean, now that I think about it, it's not this chapel you locked me inside.
1986年のあの日からずっと私はあんたのせいで孤独で誰も真実を教えてくれない密室に閉じ込められている
In
のよ。
1986, for all these years, you've had me locked in a closed room where I'm all alone, where no one will tell me the truth.
あんたの密室を今こそ私は自らの手で打ち破
And
る。
now, I'll tear your closed room apart with my own hands.
ダメね。全
Useless.
然
We
ダメだ
haven't seen any of NJ's arguments for this closed room, so I can't even begin to guess what it is.
わかったわ。あんたの完全密室のトリック
I know the trick to your perfect closed room.
復唱要求。
Repeat.
私を密室に閉じ込めてから直ちにあんたは私を殺害している。
You murdered me immediately after shutting me in the closed room.
拒否する
I refused.
そうよ。
Of
あ
course.
んたは私を18年かけて殺
You've
す
been
のよ。
killing me for 18
あり
years.
がとうベア
Thanks,
トリーチ。
Beato.
それを思い出させてくれたおかげであんたが私を殺す密室殺人のトリックが分かったわ。
エンジ
NJ,
そなたは未来ある若者だ
you're young and have a long future ahead of you. I literally jumped off a building to prove that I literally jumped off a building. Like, I jumped off a fucking skyscraper. And you're like, you're young, you're like, I already jumped, my friend. I've already jumped.
そして未来に生きる黄金の魔女ではないか
In fact, you're the golden witch who lives in the future, are we not? No, we're 6 years old, remember? We can't be in the future because you just imprisoned us in the past.
ならば未来にて生きよ
Live on in the
過去
future?
の真実にどれほどの価値がある
Just how much the past truths really work?
そなたが自ら生み出すそなたの未来の真実の方がよほど価値があるだろうに
Don't they pale in comparison to the truth of the future? The truth you create yourself?
私の人生なんてクズよ。
My life's trash.
家族は私を残してみんな死んだ
My
わ。
full family died, leaving me behind. My aunt's a mass murderer and hates me.
だから 一なる真実を手土産に私はみんなのところに帰
So
る
I'm
の。
going back to them once I've gotten my single truth.
真実を知れば家族の死を受け入れることになるだけだぞ。
If you learn the truth, you have to accept your family's
ひょっと
death.
したら家族の誰かが生き延びていて再会できるかもしれない奇跡に託して生き延びようとは思わぬのか。
I mean, haven't you ever thought about living on, hoping by some miracle one of them might have survived, and someday you might get a chance to see them again?
安心して。
I'm not worried about that. MJ's loaded and your aunt died. Just travel the world and find a happy. Actually, she can't do that. She actually can't do that, though. That's the problem. Because she's actually not legally an adult in Japan in 1998. It's actually only in like, I think we checked this. It's like 27. It's like 2013 or something is when 18-year-olds actually acquire legal adulthood in Japan. So she's actually her and all of her assets are subject to seizure and absolute control by the Sumadera family. That's why the family's chasing her, so that they can take everything she has and leave her with nothing. Like the Sumaderas are just like the white-haired chick and the mafia goons aren't just chasing her for giggles. They're chasing her because they physically need her to be they physically need her so that they can claim to have a guardianship of her and take everything she owns, including all the money. That's why she's on the run. And I believe she also doesn't have her passport because they took that from her. So she can't leave the country. And she has basically like the cash she found. She has like a little bit of cash or some shit. I don't remember. But yeah, she's theoretically loaded if she can somehow hit the wonderful age of 21? I think she has to be like 21 or some shit before she can actually use any of her actual assets. Like there's no way she can actually control the company she owns. Because the Sumaderas have all the authority they need to go walk into the company and do whatever the fuck they want. In her name, and she can't say no, they're not allowed to do that.
奇跡の魔女でさえそのかけらを見つけられなかったから。
Even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find a fragment like that. Yeah, the chance to see them again? Impossible. In the Great Rockanjima explosion, almost none of the family's remains were recovered. Some days I hoped this might be a sign they escaped the explosion and survived. That hope gave me the strength to live on. However, the hope wasn't strong enough to support me for 12 long years.
だから私は真実を知りたいと思いながらも無意識のうちに真
Even though
実
I
か
wanted to
ら
know
目
the
を
truth,
背けていた。
I unconsciously averted my
家
eyes.
族の死をはっきりと理解することで誰かが生き残ったかもしれないという
I
奇跡
felt
を
learning of my family's deaths for certain
自
would
ら
force
否
me
定
to
してしまい
deny
そうで。
any chance that someone would miraculously
でも
survive.
ね、もうそういうありもしない奇跡にすがって生き延びるのには飽き飽きしたの。
But I'm tired of living on and on with nothing but that impossible hope of a miracle to keep me going.
だから私は家族の死を受け入れることにした。
That's why I decided to accept my family's
ど
death.
のような真実であろうとも認めようと思った。
I'm accepting the truth no matter what it is.
だから私は真実の魔女となった。
That's why I'm a witch of truth.
過去の真実に目がくらみ自らの未来が見えなくなったもののなんと愚かなことか。
How foolish. To be blinded by the truth of the past and unable to see one's own future.
許せ。
Forgive me,
バト
Battler.
そなたの妹を正しき未来に導くには
I'm not strong enough to guide your sister properly. Blazing blue wedge appeared in Ange's hand. It was long, thick, and shaped like a spear.
これで終わりよ。1986年の魔女。
This is the end, Witch of 1986.
この密室は完璧な密室。
This closed room is
ゆ
perfect.
えに私は出られず、あんただって外部から私に指一本触れることはできない。
Therefore, I can't get out and you can't lay a finger on me from the
でも
outside.
あんたは私をこの密室に閉じ込めたわ。
But you locked me into this
それを
room.
もって私を殺したと言える唯一のトリックがこれ
We
よ。
can say you killed me with this simple
あん
trick.
たは私をこの完全な密室に閉じ込めて餓死させた。
You shut me in this perfect closed room and made me starve to death.
それを目論んで私を閉じ込めたなら これは立派にあんたが殺したことになる密室殺人。
Since you intentionally did this, it's totally fair to say it's a closed room murder with you as the
死
killer.
因を煙に巻きすぎたのが裏目に出たわね。
It looks like you being overly vague with the cause of death
さ
backfired
よう
on you.
なら幻想の魔女。
So long, Witch of
See you
Illusions.
hell.
See you hell. See you in hell. With the stained glass window behind her, Beato spread her arms and let the spear of blue truth pierce her. The blue spear seemed to crucify Beato against the window. See you hell.
ゲームセット。こ
Game
れ
set.
がエヴァおばさんの日記。
So
一な
this
る
is Ange's
真実の
diary.
書ね。
Book of the Single Truth. Ange picked the book from where it lay on the altar, sealed in crystal.
それを読めばそなたはベルンカステルとの契約により
You read that to buy your contract with Bernkastel, you'll die.
死ぬために真実を知る
Learning
の
the
か
truth just to die.
馬鹿げている
Ridiculous.
そうよ。
That's right.
私は死ぬために真実を求めてるの。
I'm looking for the truth so I can die.
死に方くらい私に選ばせて。
Please let me choose how I go.
私もバカじゃない。
I'm
本
not an
当の
idiot.
私はきっとあの地上の星空の宙に浮かんでいるのよ。
I know the real me is still floating in that starry sky. Bernkastel acknowledged me as the final Beatrice and invited me on a journey to learn the truth of 1986. I won't be able to return here again. When Bernkastel told me that and walked off the roof into the black sky, I followed her into the empty air. That was the contract. I wanted two things from Bernkastel. One was for someone from my family to come back, and the other was revenge. I wanted to destroy the illusion of the witch that hid the events of that day. I wanted to reach the truth. However, the first of my wishes couldn't come true. After all, even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find a fragment where my family came home. Though she wordlessly questioned me, she told me I couldn't reach the truth unless I had the courage to end this worthless life where I lived like a ghost, hoping someone might come back. So she walked out into the open air, and I followed her. Yes, now I understand. When I offered to trade away my life, I made one wish and gave up on another. I wished for revenge against the illusion hiding the truth, and now I've succeeded in that revenge, defeating the master of that illusion and obtaining the book of the single truth. What I gave up was my naivety, my continuing belief someone from my family might come back, and now I can accept my entire family is dead.
知らなきゃ生きてることにできるの？
You make someone alive just because no one knows any different?
あんたたちの言う猫箱というのは死体を隠せば生きていることにしてもいい
These
とい
cat
う
boxes you
甘え
talk
た
over
妄
just
想だけ
naive
がたっ
delusions.
た一つのトリック。でもね、隠したって死んでいることは変わらないのよ。
The idea a corpse can live as long as you keep it hidden, but even if you hide a corpse, it's still dead?
遠いお空の国でいつまでも見守っているなんて、
You really think?
そんなおとぎ話みたいなので私の傷が塞げると本気で思っているの？
You think you can heal my wounds by saying they'll always be watching over me from the clouds like a fairy tale?
私は真実の魔女エンジェ・
From
ベアトリーチェ。
Beatrice? A witch of truth.
起こらぬ奇跡を待って亡霊のように生きる日々から私は真実に至った高潔なる殉教者として生を終えるのよ。
I'll free myself from that life as a ghost waiting for a miracle that'll never happen. I'll end my life as a noble martyr who reached the truth.
そなたはマリアの魔導書より魔法の
Didn't
力を
you
理
once
解した
come
のではな
to
かったのか。
understand the power of magic through Maria's grimoire?
ええ、
Yes,
理解したわ。
I understood it.
そしてなんて無力なものだろうと絶望したわ。
And then I despaired when I realized how powerless it was, as Maria's magic is the power of pure copium.
そしてそれがお兄ちゃんが私に押し付けようとしていることなのよね。
And that's what Oni-chan is trying to force me to use now, isn't it?
私が信じれば魔法があればいつだって家族は私のそばにいる。
If I believe, if I use magic, my family will always be by my side.
バカにしないで。
Don't take me
そ
for
ん
a
な魔
fool.
法でそんな幻想で白チュームで私の12年が言えるの？
You think this kind of magic and illusion, a daydream, can heal those 12 years?
そしてこれから未来の数十年をどう生きていけるの？
How am I supposed to go in for decades and decades into the future?
誰か帰ってきてよ、誰か。
Someone come back
で
to
も
me. Come on.
誰
Someone.
も帰ってこない。
But no one's
じゃ
coming
あ
back.
せめてあの日何があったのかだけでも教えてよ。
At least tell me what happened that day.
それは教えてくれるそうよ、ベルンカステルが。
Bernkastel. She said she'd tell me.
はあ、我が主よ、今こそ一なる真実の書を手に入れました。
My master, I have the book of the single truth.
今からこれを持ち帰りますから、私に真実をお与えください。
I'll take it back to you, so give me
家
the
族が
truth.
生きているかもしれないという甘えた奇跡を捨て去る覚悟はも
For
う
so
とっ
long.
くにできています。
I've been prepared to throw away my naive hopes for a miracle.
私に今こそあの日の真実を
Tell me the truth
教え
about
て。
that. NJ going full Erica. NJ has a good reason to be going full Erica. A blinding light poured out of the chapel. It seeped from the windows and cracks of the doors, even reaching as far as Battler and Erica's eyes.
なんだ
What's that?
どうやら同志エンジェが仕事を終えたようですね。
It seems Comrade NJ has completed her task. Ah, yes. You mean our task. After all, she said Comrade NJ.
あなたが無様な封印を施したようですが、我が主に委ねれば冷凍サンマを解凍するより簡単に
Looks like you
食べ
set
てくれる
up
でしょう。
some pathetic seal, but to my master, that'll be easier than thawing frozen sorry fish. Comrade NJ, our single truth.
我が主よりエンジェが仕事を終えるまで遊べばよいと命じられています。
Master said I could play with you until NJ finished her task.
十分に再会を楽しめましたし、これでお開きにしようと思います。
Had enough fun from this reunion, so I think it's time for me to leave. Erica gave an elegant curtsy.
なぜエンジェに一なる真実をそそのかせ
But why did you talk NJ into looking for the single
お
truth?
前の主なら知ってるはずだ
Your master must know.
エンジェには何の意味もない真実だと
That truth doesn't mean anything to NJ.
ええ、
Yes.
世の中のあらゆる真実に意味などありません。
All truths in this world are
意味を
meaningless.
生み出すのは結局のところ人間一人一人の心の中。
In the end, meaning comes from the mind of each individual human.
一なる真実でさえ人が異なれば生まれる意味が異なる。
Even when there's one single truth, it can mean the different things to different people.
ないんですよ、真実に意味なん
The
て。
truth has no meaning in itself.
それでも私が真実にこだわる理由はただ一つ。
I mean, there's only one reason I'm still stuck on truth. The truth, despite it all.
探偵だから
Because you're the detective?
ぐっと。しかし
Good.
エンジェさんは探偵ではありません。
But NJ is not a detective.
あの子にとって真実はゴール。
To her, the truth itself is the finish line.
幸薄き
The
人
goal.
生に終わりを告げる終止符です。
A way to mark the end of her unhappy
これ
life.
であの子はようやく生を終える最後のみそぎを終えた。
And now she's finally finished the final purification
死ぬ
ceremony.
ためにたった一つの真実にこだわる一夜限りの
She's a one night witch of truth focused on learning a single truth before she
地上
dies.
に叩きつけられて死ぬまでのほんのわずかな時間だけの
A
かり
temporary
そめの
witch
真実の魔女。
with a short time until she slams against the ground.
エンジェを死なせはしない
I won't let NJ die.
どんなに辛くても生きてくれ
No matter how tough it gets, she has to live. But Battler, if she's falling and going to die any second, there's
そ
nothing
れ
to
だ
do.
け
It's
が俺たちの願いな
the
のだ
only
か
thing
ら
all of us want.
生きていればどんな魔法もどんな奇跡だって起こり得るんだ
If she lives, all sorts of magic and miracles will be possible.
それをエンジェさんの肩を抱いて直接言わなかったことがあなたの敗因です。
And if only you put your arm around her shoulder and told her that directly, you might not have lost. Being an asshole manipulator doesn't suit Battler very
い
well.
か
What
がです
do you think?
あなたのわめきを聞くだけでフルドエリカにはこの程度の推理が可
Just
能
by
です。
hearing you howl, this level of reasoning is possible for Furuto Erica.
生きろエンジェ
I avenge you. He yelled towards the chapel, but NJ probably wasn't even there anymore. Battler's yell was swallowed by the empty pitch-black sky and the sea of rampaging goats.
どうしえば
Comrade Ava.
終了です。退却しましょう。
Our mission is complete. Let's withdraw.
あら、もうおしまい？
Are we done already?
今度は私自らがエヴァ犯人説で島中をめちゃくちゃにしてやろうと思ってたのに。
With my own Ava culprit theory. Ava appeared in midair and cackled.
ごめんね、バトラ君。
Sorry, Battler King.
私の力不足で。
I wasn't strong enough.
私は私のやり方で12年間あの子を
For
守っ
12
たの。
years, I protected that kid in my own way.
感謝する。
Grateful.
でももうあの子が自分で決めることよ。
But she's decided this for herself.
もうあの子も18歳。
She's 18 years old
自
now.
分の人生は自分で決めてもいいとは思わ
Don't
な
you
い。
think people should decide how they live their lives? I think it's rich coming from Battler. He thinks he should control how people live their lives. When he literally threw a temper tantrum over his dad remarrying after their wife died and went and lived on his own from the ages of 12 to 18. When he's like, when he's like, NJ shouldn't be able to make her own decisions, and I'm like, Battler, literally you are making your own decisions for the last 6 years. The equivalent of your last 6 years. And then he turns around and is like, but at that age, you're still not old enough. It's like, you don't think, you think girls, you think NJ is 6 years less mature than you? Okay.
悪いな。
Sorry.
妹煩悩な兄貴で。
For being a doting big brother.
じゃあね。
Later.
私は今はベルンカステル教の駒。
I'm Lady Bernkastel's piece at the moment.
これで失礼するわ。
Time for me to go. Decide how to live their own lives. They had suicide the best way to live your life. I mean, it's been 12 years. I feel like if someone wants to kill themselves and they're if they're actually of sound mind, that's perfectly reasonable. Like you could reasonably say, I think you could reasonably say if someone is actually of sound mind that they should be entitled to kill themselves if they want to. That's perfectly reasonable. There are circumstances where you would want to do so, but even having circumstances where you would want to do so, I don't think you need specific circumstances or to outline specific circumstances. It's like your own decision. So, if you think people should be allowed to make their own decisions, they should probably be allowed to kill themselves, assuming they are of sound mind, which is sometimes hard to prove. Because I mean, it is known that like a lot of the times that people kill themselves is because they had the opportunity to do so and had like a momentary impulse. Like a massive swing of a sudden spike of like depression or something can like push people over the edge, and then if you stop them, they're usually if they didn't have the opportunity to do so easily or someone stops them, they might like regret it later. They might have regretted it. Wrong. But anyway. Yeah, people are entitled to their own opinions, man. I think people should be able to do whatever they want in a normal way. Yeah, I'm Bernkastel's piece at the moment. It's time for me to go. Later.
どうしえば後ほ
So
ど。
like I can say that I personally think that like NJ might have something to live for, maybe, but I'm also not NJ. And if NJ has spent like 12 years just waiting to die because she doesn't think her life has any meaning, value, or anything in it, and it's gonna be miserable for at least the next 3 years, and not worth living. I mean, it's technically her choice. Although it's technically her choice, so I guess if you've spent 12 years of your life thinking it's probably better if I kill myself and just haven't done it, and then you just decide to do it on the 12th year, that's probably okay. as that's not like some momentary decision and you've presumably thought it out for 12 years. On the other hand, if she just killed herself, if you think NJ is just killing herself because her aunt died and that's the last family member, and it's like, oh my god, my aunt died, I'm gonna kill myself, there's no point in living, like, maybe that's not a reasonable decision. Or maybe she's in despair over her aunt dying and you think that's a bad idea. Like, maybe not a bad idea, but like something that where like her emotions overcame her rationality and she's making an irrational decision, then you'd say she probably shouldn't kill herself. And you'd probably be in the right in that case to stop them. Alright, see you later, comrade Ava. Ava held her palm open and a small pointy blue fragment appeared there. The fragment burst with a blinding flash of light. Ava vanished. It was the same light that seeped out of the chapel earlier. Pieces can't leave the game board. However, if the Voyager witches alone could come and go, it's probably some sort of magic Bernkastel gave them. Erica opened her palm as well, and the same sort of fragment appeared there. That's enough for now, I think. Who knows? This might be the last time we meet. Wait. We haven't settled our fight yet. If he could steal the fragment in Erica's hand, he'd be able to go where Bernkastel was. The seal surrounding the single truth would probably be melted easily with Bernkastel's power. However, even so, it would take her some time. If he could steal that fragment, he would have a chance at bringing NJ back. What's there to settle? Time's up. But if you feel like taking one last hit, I'd be happy to oblige. Battler knew Erica wouldn't be able to resist the challenge. After all, he already knew what her trick was. He figured it out just a second ago. Even while he spoke with Erica, he'd been thinking about it inside his head. He could finish her with this last strike and take the fragment. Let's go, Erica. This is decided. This clash will be the last before I go. Go ahead and give me the craziest of your hilarious theories. Your closed room definition stated the walls, windows, floors, ceiling, and chain were all unbeatable. Okay. There's one possibility I didn't check. Because it was too ridiculous. And that was whether or not the chain could be set from the outside. Blue truth. This is the answer to your closed room. The length of the chain. The chain for your closed room was extra long and was able to be set and unset from outside the room. What a ridiculous answer. However, if you blindly assume that a lock made by an unbreakable chain makes a closed room unbeatable, then this truly would be a perfect closed room. The blue wedge flung from Battler's hand plunged straight into Erica's chest, and as she winced in pain, her hand shook and the fragment she held flew into the air. Way to throw, Way to throw, Erica. Your closed room definitions stated that the walls, windows, door, chain were all unbeatable. Ooh, she didn't say ceiling. Wasn't there one ridiculous thing missing? Your closed room had no ceiling, so it's possible to enter by climbing over the wall. Erica's blue scythe swung out from behind her back, catching Battler in the side as he stretched his hand toward the fragment. Battler's hand didn't reach it. The fragment returned to Erica's hands once more. They both solved each other's mysteries. It looks like our tricks were equally ridiculous. Bear in mind, they don't have a picture of the room. They literally just said, "You're in a closed room and you've been stabbed in the back with a knife. Solve the riddle." When both players are too good, go for the incredibly stupid solutions or simple ones. Yeah, for sure. They did a good job with that, I guess. If that was the solution for your closed room and you tried everything and then you're just like, fuck it, there's no ceiling to this closed room, that would be a dumb solution, but it's a viable one because they're playing, you know, mental detective, right?
ミステリーマニアなら憤怒しているところでしょうか。
The mystery nuts would have been furious, don't you think?
しかし私は違
But
う。
I disagree. You're playing like mental. It's like playing mental magic. You just have whatever you want in your hand. It doesn't matter how improbable it is, and you need to win. Like, yeah, sure, it's unlikely, but it's equally unlikely that your opponent just happens to have exactly the answer in their hand to everything you come up with. Perfectly fine.
そのバカバカしさを暴くに至ったその過程に恍惚を覚えます。
To me, the process of exposing that ridiculousness is ecstasy.
それが探偵フルドエリカ。
That's why I'm Furudo Erica, the detective.
貴様とっくに答えに至ってやがったな。
You figured out the answer a while back, didn't you?
いいえ、
Not true.
あなたが青き真実を繰り出してからかけらを奪おうと手を伸ばすまでの一瞬で考えました。
I thought it up between the time you let loose your blue truth and the time you stretched your hand out to grab the
私は
fragment.
最初から時間稼ぎ。
I've just been buying time since the beginning.
今の一瞬で初めて私は推理を始めたのですか
I
ら。
only started reasoning a second ago. Oof. Erica broke the crystal barrier that surrounded them. Then she flew high up in the sky, looking down on Battler and laughing at him as she gave a final bow.
ごきげんようバトラさん。
So long, Battler.
私の出番がこれだけだとしても、
Even if this has been my only time to
これ
shine.
で私が用済みで再び忘却の深淵に突き落とされようとも、
Even if I outlived my usefulness and I'm about to be thrown back into the depths
悔い
of
のな
oblivion.
い時間でした。
Even so, I have no regrets.
待て。
Like she'd actually wait because I told her to. With a blinding flash, Erica vanished. Ange retrieved the Book of the Single Truth and returned to Bernkastel. Battler and the others had no way to leave the game board. Everything had come to an end. A gold butterfly flitted by and Beato appeared.
すまぬバトラー。エンジェを逃がしてしまった。
I let Ange get away.
俺もすまね
I'm sorry
え。
too.
奴らを逃がしちまった。
Let him escape, it's all over.
もうお手上げだ。
Battler created this game for NJ. Now that NJ was gone, the game board no longer had any purpose. Even if it hadn't been the case, the game board itself had been chewed to bits by the goats and was now like a single leaf floating on a sea of nothingness. Thanks to Gertrude and Cornelia's seals, the mansion was protected from the second floor up. The door to the Golden Land was now open wide enough for a child to slip through. The smaller people like Maria and Saktaro went through it.
我が友よ
My friend. Is he talking to Nanjo? Is he like, you're gonna be in trouble, aren't you?
扉の開きが少し早くなった気がす
I
る
believe the door is opening at a quicker pace.
はい
Indeed.
私の目にもそのように見えます
My eyes as well, it seems to be so.
お父さん
Oh, there-
扉はまだ開きませんか
is the door open yet?
奴らもうじき窓を破ってきそうで
It
す
looks like they're about to break in through the windows.
クラウス様どうかご安心を
Osama, there is no need to fear.
アイゼルネ・ユングフラウの結界そうやすやすと破れるものではございません
An Isa and Jungfrau barrier is not so easily broken.
もうじき大人も通れるようになります。
Very soon it'll be big enough for adults to go through too.
大丈夫ですよ。
Don't worry,
間
we'll
に
make
合
it
い
in
ま
time.
す。
しかし
There's knocking and
ど
banging
んどん
everywhere.
バンバン
And,
と
and
すごいありさまでして。
慌てずに待て
stay calm and wait.
どうせ我らには待つ以外にできることは何もないのだから
There's
な
nothing else we can do. Even the outer walls of the mansion were covered with goats. They were plunging their fangs and fists into the walls and windows trying to crush them. So anyone watching the goats stuck to all the walls, all the windows in the hallways, smashing their thick arms against the windows, couldn't help but be terrified even if they knew about the barrier. However, anyone watching the group of goats gathered at the top of the staircase on the other side of the barrier would probably feel a different emotion. Rather than terror, it was a sad, empty sort of emotion. The barrier was drawn across the landing at the top of the hall's great staircase. Beyond that barrier, everything had already been eaten away. Was it even possible for those who stood in the hallway of the upper floors to believe this was the Rakenjima mansion? By now, no one looking at this scene would be able to imagine such a thing. Forget the hall or even the first whole floor. Even the ground itself was almost gone. The sea of goats had eaten everything apart long before this. They'd eaten apart the hall, the pillars of the mansion, the floor, the ground, the sea, the very concept of the island. Every part of the game board Battler had created, and now the only leftover was the upper part of the mansion, which floated along in empty space. Lucky for them, gravity is not a problem. How pitiful. What do you prefer?
この島を食い尽くすという快楽に身を任せたヤギたちが自分たちの足場さえ食い尽くし虚無に落ちて消えていく。
They ate even the ground they stood on, dropping themselves into nothingness. I guess that is a bit sad. This had once been a huge entrance hall. Beyond it was a vast rose garden. There had been so many places to stand upon. And now holes had been dug everywhere and nearly everything outside the mansion was completely gone. Some goats were clutching to the few remaining footholds and pillars, still eating away at them.
真実を暴くとは殺すことと心得るものなり。
Let it be known that exposing the truth is murder.
人はなぜ殺さずには生きられないのです。
Why can't people live without killing, I wonder?
遠大なる歴史の中であれだけの大勢が奇跡を願いながら
Throughout their long history, so many have prayed for miracles.
結局は奇跡の余地を自ら食い尽くし、自らの足場さえ食い破って奈落へ落ちていく。
Yet in the end, they eat their own chance at receiving them by eating the very ground they stand on and falling into the abyss. They saw a goat chewing the same pillar that was holding it up, which unsurprisingly fell into an empty blackness along with the goat.
人間は知るために生きるように定められた悲しい生き物だからです。
Sad creatures fated to live in order to learn.
知ることが自分の生きる夢や希望を自ら食い尽くすことを意味するなら。
If learning means eating away at the same hope and dreams that keep you alive,
人間は死ぬために生まれてきたってことになる。
That means humans are born just so they can die.
私たちは生きろと教えられます。
We're taught that we have to live,
しかし、
but
生きてなすことのほぼすべてが
everything we'll
結局
accomplish
は
in
自分を
life
殺している。
ends up killing us.
それ以上考えるな。
Don't think about it. Don't think about it, man. Welcome to the fictive goat apocalypse. So many goats. The idea of not having a wall to get out of a locked room would be pretty funny on a stage play. No one would realize the fourth wall not being there is actually part of the plot. I mean, that would be funny, right? They're like, how did they escape this room? And it's like, wait, oh, I just walked this way. Like, how'd you escape the room? It's like, oh, well, it was obvious, you know? I just walked towards stage exit over there. You'll get a headache.
私は一人の人間として
As a
問いたい。
single human, I want to ask,
知ることは罪なのですか？
is learning a sin?
無知に生きる方が夢や希望があると。
Is learning in ignorance the only way we can have hopes and dreams?
全知に生きることも無知に生きることもどちらにも利点はあるし短
Both
所もあ
living
る。
with knowledge and living in ignorance have their benefits as well as their
そのど
shortcomings.
ちらに生きるのも自由だ。
You're free to choose whichever path you take.
だから人間ってのは無力な。
人は知るべき
not
す
again.
ぎた
Not
好
this
奇
again.
心は夢も希望も
Alright.
殺す。
You're free to choose which path to take. That's what makes humans powerless. I'm pretty sure I bumped my controller, and that's what did that. Well, people can learn, they cannot unlearn. And so the all-knowing God stepped in for the sake of humans who cannot unlearn, marking out things that should be learned and things that should not be learned. Too much curiosity can kill your hopes and dreams.
人は知るべきでないことを知らぬままに忌避できぬ哀れな存在です。
Humans are pitiable beings who are unable to simply avoid those things which should not be learned. How are you supposed to know what shouldn't be learned? Delanor, that's not very useful.
バトラ教がそれをエンジェに伝えきれなかったとしても無理もないことです。
Battler can hardly be blamed for not teaching Ange this. And now Battler's blameless for that. Alright.
そのエンジェももういない。
And now Ange is gone.
このゲームももうおしまいだな。
Game is over. Yeah, just about. Struck dumb by Will's words, everyone fell silent. Only the sound of the goats eating everything away rang out hollowly. Even if they escaped to the Golden Land, the goats of emptiness would probably chew into that realm as well. Even if they got away for the time being, nothing would be resolved. You'd think the goats would stop attacking. It was all set in stone now. They had no way to resist the future's violent attempts to tear the cat box of the past open. In that case, we must stay alive.
人間の愚かさが自ら夢や希望を捨て去ることならば
If a human's foolishness makes them throw away their own hopes and dreams in the end,
私はそれを最後の1秒まで信じることを選びたい
then I'll believe in those things until the last second.
いい根性だ。
Your resolve is quite impressive.
私は幾百万の世界のベアトリーチェたちの唯一の希望が具現化した存在
I'm the hope held by Beatrices of a million worlds.
だから私はこんな時でもみんなの希望でなければいけないんです
Even at times like this, I have to be everyone's hope.
だから私はまだこのゲームを
I'm not
諦め
giving
ません
up on this game yet.
諦めないとは
By which do you mean?
最後の1秒まで奇跡を信じて待つということです
I'll keep waiting, believing in a miracle until the very last second.
最後の1秒まであがいてあがき抜こうってわけ
He'll
か。
struggle on and on until it's over.
そうです
That's right.
私たちの時だってあの恐ろしい猫の胸の中で死を覚悟したではありませんか
After all, last time when we were surrounded by that pack of terrifying cats, we were prepared for death, weren't
で
we?
もラムダデルタさんが助けて
The
くれました
Lambda Delta saved
も
us.
し奇跡を信じずに諦めていたら私たちは助けられる前に虚無に消えていたに違いない
If we had given up, if we hadn't had the strength to believe in a miracle, I'm sure we would have been erased before help could come. I like how they're all hoping for a miracle, and their opponent is the Witch of Miracles.
私が助けたってより、ベルンがあんたたちを殺し損ねたって感じね。
Well, it's not like I really saved you, more like Bern just failed to kill you properly.
あるいは、あの子の気まぐれかもしれない。
Maybe it was some whim of hers.
奇跡の魔女の奇跡的な気まぐれってわけね。
Miraculous whim from the Witch of Miracles. How long had she been there? Lambda Delta was leaning on the handrail of the staircase, eating popcorn. He held the cup of popcorn out, but Leon declined the offer. I keep wanting to say Lion.
バトラ君たちが言ってました
Battler
エン
couldn't
ジ
kill
ちゃん
us.
は自分の命と引き換えに真実を得る契約をしたと
He said NJ-chan made a contract by which she would learn the truth in exchange for her own life.
さっきのあんたたちの話によるなら、それは契約じゃないわね。
Well, going by your conversation just now, that was no contract.
だって、人は死ぬために真実を求めて生きてるんでしょ
After all, living and seeking the truth so they can die is what humans do anyway, right?
つまりエンジは、自分の性のすべてを真実を得るために費やした。
In other words, NJ spent all her life trying to learn the truth.
それを一瞬の時間にベルンが凝縮しただけのことだわ。
All Bern did was shorten that time to a single
エンジ
instant.
ちゃんは夢も希望もなくしたから自らの命を軽んじてしまった
When NJ lost her hopes and dreams, she stopped valuing her own life.
彼女にどうやったら夢や希望を
How can she
与え
be
られるん
given
です
hopes
か
and dreams again? How can your hopes and dreams exist if the only thing that you exist to do is die? None of your hopes and dreams would ever come true.
どうやったら生きることに意味を見出させることができ
What
るん
can
で
be
すか
done to help her find a reason for living?
それ、私に聞いてんの？
You're asking me?
私、パーよ。
I'm paper, right?
それも、2回転ひねりの入った超パー。
I'm double twisted, curly super paper.
難しい話されてもわかんないわ。
I don't understand complicated stuff. After tossing the last bits of popcorn into her mouth, Lambda Delta threw the empty cup into the abyss of nothingness.
ベルンがあの子をそそのかしたわけじゃないわ。
Bern wasn't pushing that kid to do something she didn't
ベルン
want.
はエンジェにチャンスを与えた。
Just giving NJ a chance.
選択肢を与えたというべ
Or
き。
perhaps a choice.
そしてエンジェはその選択肢の中から自ら選んでゲーム版に現れ、そして今バトラとのゲームで再び自ら選択肢を選んでる。
So then, NJ made the choice she wanted, appeared on the game board, and now in her game against Battler, she's making her own choices again.
あの子のゲームは最初から最後までずっとあの子のものよ。
From the start to the finish, NJ's games always belong to NJ.
私は今それをのんびりと感激してい
Right
る
now,
わ。
well, I'm just a casual observer.
感激に熱中している
So,
というわ
not
け
a
でもなさそうだ。
particularly enthusiastic observer.
まあね、
Maybe.
先の見えちゃったお芝居だし、
Play with an obvious ending.
だからそろそろおいとましようかなって思って
Figured
た
I may
と
as
こ
well
ろ
take
よ。
my leave. Thanks,
先
Han.
が
You
見
are
えたと
sorry.
感じたら、あなたはそのお芝居を見るのをやめるのですか？
You mean you'll stop watching a play just because you think you know how it ends?
ひょっとしたら、あなたが想像しないようなクライマックスを迎
Even
える
though
か
it
も
might
しれないのに。
reach a climax you didn't expect? Lambda Delta licked her salty fingers. Then she stared at Leon challengingly and grinned.
エンジェちゃんのゲームは絶対にこれで終わりません。
NJ's game won't end this way.
必ずバトラ君の気持ちが通
I
じ
know
ます。
Battler's feelings will reach her.
彼女に
She'll
より良い
understand.
未来を生きてほしいという気持ちが伝わり、
He
彼
wants her
女
to
が
live in a
自ら
better
それを
future.
選択する。
She'll choose that future of her own accord. Well, she's confident, I'll give her that. Or he, she is confident, I'll give him that.
絶対
Leon is confident, we'll give him
そう
that.
いう物語になります。
I'm certain that's how this tale will end.
へえ、この絶対の魔女ラムダデルタにあんたが絶対を保証するの？
Are you talking to me, the Witch of Certainty, and saying the outcome is certain?
そうです。
That's right.
私が絶対に保証しま
I
す。
guarantee it.
エンジェちゃんのゲームはこのままでは終わりません。
NJ Chan's game won't end like this.
だから席を立たないでください。
So please don't leave your seat.
そして私たちも立ちませ
And
ん。
we won't leave either.
私たちにできることは必
There
ずあ
must
り
be
ます。
something we can do.
そしてそれが必
And
ず
that will lead to her
彼
or
女
to
を
a
より
better
良き未
future.
来へ誘う。この物語は必ずハッピーエンドになります。
This tale will definitely have a happy
だか
ending.
ら最後まで見届けて
Keep
ください。
watching until the end. None of that was in red, but Bernkastel did promise this tale didn't have a happy
お
ending.
願いします。
I beg you. Even though I've already announced as the Witch of Certainty that this tale won't have a happy ending. Oh, was it Lambda Delta? Shit.
ハッピーエンドの定義なんて見る人それぞれが決めることでしょ。
The definition of a happy ending is something everyone watching gets to decide for themselves, right? For a while, there was a tense silence. With a confident gaze that seemed to be saying, "Are you serious?" Lambda Delta stared at Leon. However, Leon's eyes didn't even twitch. For some time, they just stared into each other's eyes without flinching. Suddenly, Lambda Delta let out a large sigh
い
and
くらで
stretched.
もないし。
Well, I have nowhere better to
いい
be.
わ。もうちょっとだけ付き合ってあげる。
Sure, I'll stick around a bit
ポッ
longer.
プコーンのおかわりをくれたらね。
If you give me more popcorn,
今
that
度
is.
はキャラメルフレーバーがいいわ。
I'm feeling caramel flavor this time.
黄金鏡へ来てくれればいくらでもご馳走します。
Well, if you come to the Golden Land, we'll serve you as much as you'd like. Lambda Delta waved at them with a thin smile. No one was quite sure what this meant, but apparently it signified her surrender in her own way.
いいわ。
Okay. Lambda Delta is child sized, so she could actually go to the Golden Land before them. Get the popcorn, eat it, come back.
あんたがあんたなりの絶対のハッピーエンドを保証するなら、
If you guarantee your own flavor of happy ending with certainty,
この大ラムダデルタ、もう少しだけ付き合ってあげるわ。
then I, the great Lambda Delta, will stick around for a while
本
longer.
当に私って心が広いわよね。
It's as big as one of the bows on your costume.
まるで琵琶
I'm
湖
not
の
telling you
よ
which
う
one.
に。
It's as big as Lake Biwa, or wide as Lake Biwa.
微妙に狭いな。
That's pretty thin, actually.
そして日本海のように穏やかね。
As gentle as the Sea of Japan. Wait a minute, isn't that...
すごい荒波です。
That's a very rough sea. Oh, I was like, wait a minute, isn't the Sea of Japan where their concept of like the divine protection of Japan comes from? Because fucking navies get crushed in that place?
金系。
Please allow us to speak.
おそらく例えが逆かと思われる
It
ものなり。
seems she meant it the other way around. There was some muffled laughter. Lambda Delta is the witch who gives strength to those who possess unshakable willpower. Leon believed in a happy ending and that certain enthusiasm might have been enough to earn a small miracle from Lambda.
みんな、私を退屈させるんじゃないわよ。
You'd better not let me get bored,
じゃ
okay?
なきゃ、いつだって私は席を立っちゃうんだからね。
If you do, I'll leave right away.
もちろんです
Of course. And what's Leon defined as a happy ending? Anyone surviving from this
バトラ
group?
君も歓迎するでしょ
I'm sure Battler-kun will be glad to welcome you as well. Leon understood. In order to fight back against Bernkastel, who took Ange outside the board, they'd need the power of another who was capable of leaving the board. Their last hope was to make sure Lambda Delta didn't abandon this game. However, judging by Lambda Delta's expression as she hummed to herself cheerily, actually asking her for help was probably going to be a problem.
見て、ゼパル。
Zepa.
すごいわ。1階から下がぽっかりだわ。
Everything from the first floor down is gone.
これは絶景だね。
What a
なかなか
spectacle.
お目にかかれない景色だよ。
Not a sight you see every day.
上の様子はどうですか？
Have matters progressed upstairs?
そうそう。それを知らせに来たの。
Right, we came to tell you that.
いやあみんな、お待たせしたね。
Sorry everyone, sorry to keep you waiting.
黄金鏡の扉が開いたそうだよ。
They say the door to the Golden Land's opened.
やれやれ。
Finally.
参りましょう。
Ah, let's go.
ここはいつまでも安全ではありま
This
せん。
place will not be safe for long. Everyone who was sitting on the staircase got up.
さらば、麗しの六軒島。
I guess this is
だな。
goodbye, Rockinjima the Beautiful.
そうですね
True.
こんな光景でさえこれが見納めなのですね
It may be a shadow of its former self, but this is the last time we'll see it, isn't it?
何を器用なこと言ってんのよ。
What's with that gloomy attitude?
見せなさいよ、私に。
Come on, show me, okay?
ハッピーエンド。
Let's see a happy ending. No more Rockinjima, only Golden Land. The end. Everyone wins. They go to the Golden Land and they're all happy. The Book of the Single Truth was sealed in crystal by Battler. Until this seal is undone, I can't even stick the key in the keyhole. One last quest.
あんたには解けるのよね
You can remove this. Oh wow, look, a new room. A massive archive. Are we upside down? Or is there like... Is this like an upside down view? Or is it an upside right view? Perhaps. With like either a glass floor panel or... like some weird, or magic used to traverse this? Or maybe it's just actually that awkward to traverse. You can remove this.
その封印
Right?
もちろん
Of course, of course. Ah, okay. So it's like the library in Toho 6. Like fucking infinitely high, and you're just like, I think you need magic to traverse this shit. They were in a vast, dimly lit space. To sum it up in a phrase, it was like a trench in the ocean floor, or well, that's not quite right. It was a library. However, the number of books and the height of the shelves vastly surpassed all those that existed in the world of humans. If height is the measure of greatness, then the gods must surely be giants taller than the mountains. Somewhere here are two vampire sisters. This place appeared to be a library big enough and grand enough for such gods. and a maid that keeps this place clean. Each individual book was no longer larger than those from the human world. However, the shelves holding them stood like the walls of a valley, or rather a deep-sea ocean trench. So Ange and the others looked little more than a few small butterflies who wandered around into this vast library. Like minuscule deep-sea fish swimming about all alone in an ocean pit.
これは封印じゃなくて氷みたいなものよ。
More like ice than a seal.
バトラの手から奪えば日向に置いとくだけで時間をかければ勝手に溶ける程度の脆いもの。
If you steal it away from Battler and put it under the rays of a sun, it will fade away by itself as time passes.
手っ取り早く打ち砕けないの？
Isn't there some way to just smash it open?
あんたは冷凍サンマをハンマーで叩いて解凍するの？
You thaw your frozen fish by smashing it with a hammer?
ごめんね。家庭科は1なの。
Sorry, I'm terrible in cooking class.
子猫たち、
Kitties,
この封印の解凍を。
thaw this seal. When Bernkastel whispered from the dark ocean pit deep below them, several emerald green glints appeared and gathered like a school of fish. Bernkastel threw the Book of the Single Truth down to them, and only after several seconds passed, the school of fish seemed to gather around it and carry it away. Those few seconds made it clear just how deep this bookshelf trench went. Ange was once again dumbfounded by this unimaginably vast and godly library.
あとはあの子たちに任せておけばいいわ。
We can let them handle the rest.
本当に私に中を読ませてくれるんでしょうね。
And you really will let me see what's inside?
あなたが望むならそれは叶うわ。
If that's your wish, I'll grant it.
そして私だってあなたのその鍵がなければ
Of
読む
course.
ことが叶わない。
I won't be able to read it myself without that key of yours. Ange silently gripped the golden key in her pocket. This journey had been so long and so strange. In search of the truth from 12 years ago, I left my home, met President Okanogi, met Amakusa. At some point, that adventure became wrapped in the illusion of the witch. However, here I am. Shiramiya Eva's diary is here, the truth inside it sitting right before me.
しばらく休みなさい。
Rest for a
私
while.
もあんたの相手だけをしていられるほど暇じゃないの。
Even I don't have enough free time to spend it all with you.
別に疲れてなんかいないけどね。
I'm not really tired.
エリカ、
Erica?
エンジェにお茶でもご馳走しなさい。
Serve Ange some tea or something.
はい、我が主。
Yes, my master. Erica popped into existence out of nowhere and bowed to her master. Well, I guess she's not in oblivion.
ベルンカステル、
Bernkastel?
もしあんたが私をうまいこと利用して本と鍵を奪おうと考えているなら
If you're
た
planning
だ
on
じゃ済
using
まさ
me
ないわよ。
to steal both the key and book, you won't get off that easy.
貴様、我が主に向かってなんて口を。
How dare you say such a thing to my master?
ごめんなさいね。
Sorry.
魔女とずいぶん長くやり合ってたせいで普通の言葉は信用しないことにしてるの。
After my long experience with witches, I've decided not to trust normal words.
いいわ。
Very
赤
well.
き真実で約束してあげる。
I'll promise it with red.
一なる真実の書を封印が解けて一番最初に読むのはあなた、エンジェよ。
When the seal of the book of the single truth is dissolved, you, Ange, will be first to read
これ
it.
でいい？
Is that good enough for you? For some time, Ange considered the witch's words, searching for a hidden trap within them. There's no guarantee greater than a witch's red truth. Ange understood this well enough. If she started doubting the red truth, there'd be nothing left to trust in the entire world. If she began suspecting even this, even the truth would no longer be the truth.
まだ不満なの？
There's something more you want?
何も。
No, I'm fine. If she wanted to read the book of the single truth, she'd need Bernkastel's assistance. Ange finally realized she had nothing to gain by complaining more and annoying this witch further.
封印が解けたらすぐに呼んでちょうだい。
Once you've dissolved the barrier, call me right away.
もちろんよ。
But of course,
私だって早く読みたいもの。
I also want to read it as
す
soon as
ぐに呼
possible.
ぶわ。
I'll call for you at once. Bern spun away from them and vanished into the dark bookshelf trench. Ange saw a school of emerald green fish appear and follow behind Bernkastel. Could those be her familiars? As she stared at the emerald lights that resembled some sort of deep-sea fish, Ange was poked from behind. Let's go. Comrade Ange. You're creeping me out. Please just call me Ange. Yeah, I'd be weirded out too if the girl started calling everyone comrade. You can call me Erika-sama. She's like, no, I'm not calling Erika-sama. Let's get going, Comrade Erika. Comrade Erika. The pair began to swim in the direction Erika indicated. Swim seemed a better word for it than fly. So what's this place? It's too big to be called a library. Not like you'll be able to remember the name. Why not just call it the library? I'll decide what I can or can't remember. Tell me. It's the great witch of theater-going, drama and spectating's noble city of carefully selected books. Yep, library works fine. You'd say that. It's still fair to tell someone, be like, it's too complicated, but the name is this. And she's like, yeah, you're probably right. Better than just telling someone you don't want to know and not telling them. The city of books. Yeah, the name fits. The bookshelves on either side of this canyon are skyscrapers. If I think of those emerald green lights flowing beneath us as headlights on a highway, this really does seem like a city of books. These aren't normal books, are they? That's right. Each volume is packed with an ensemble play. They look like the books from here, but if you open one up, you'll find a whole world inside. Even our long tale is only one of these. Great witches who live on a far, far higher plane than we do are hardly any different from a creator or a god. From their perspective, our tale is worth a little more than a single book, even if it's worth that. From a theater-goer's perspective, our individual lives are hardly worth anything at all. If they're recording an entire world in a single volume, then my life isn't even worth a single line. We're the main character. I am, so are you. That's right. Even if the tale of the gods doesn't mention us, we're always the main characters in the stories we write for ourselves. Being aware of that fact is the first thing that separates witches from humans. Sounds like being a witch would be a lot of fun, if a lot of work. They were on a balcony, which is really a room-sized section that had been dug out of the bookshelf with no guardrail along the cliff. It didn't go in very deep, so it looked like a room that had been cut in half. It was filled with the tools of everyday life, as though this was Erika's hidden house. My master ordered me to serve you some tea. If you don't feel like drinking, I'll have to pour it into you with a funnel. If you try, I'll have to serve you some matcha. Matcha? Nothing, just talking to myself, just talking. Ignoring Erika as she made tea, Ange looked down upon the bizarre, otherworldly scene below. Yeah, this can't be Erika's house. There's no Bernkastel body pillows to sleep on. Until Erika finished getting the tea ready, the scene held Ange's gaze like it was sucking out her soul. This might sound strange coming to me. I mean, there's no decorations. So, in Erica's house, there'd have to be a pillar of herself, and then body pillows and pictures of Bernkastel from every angle. The two people she likes the most are the three things she likes the most are herself, Bernkastel, and the truth. This might sound strange coming from me. You actually made a deal to throw away your own life to learn the truth, right? Pretty impressive. I had nothing to gain from life. It was easy to trade away the time I had left. My master really does take to idle whims. To think she would make a contract for the meaningless life of a powerless girl. I mean, if Beatrice ever pisses you off enough, you can just not learn the truth and not die. Ange chuckled, not bothering to argue. That was exactly right. How incredible that Bernkastel would lend her power to a worthless life that was trying to throw itself away. Well, my master is the witch who controls miracles. It makes sense she'd appear even for a worthless girl like you. Oh, good point. Even if Bernkastel hadn't appeared, I still would have taken that step off the edge that day. You really are a cheap and easy woman, aren't you? Oh. How much are you worth then? Why, me? The way Erica cackled was disturbing. Still, Ange realized this was her way of answering the question. People don't become witches of their own choosing. If they're capable of living, all people want to live their lives as humans. When something comes along to trip up that life, that's when the road to living as a witch opens. Even Furuto Erica, who calls herself the Witch of Truth, must be like this. The two witches of truth sitting here drinking tea without even looking at each other are exactly the same. I like exposing the truth. Why would you want to be a witch of truth when you could be the immortal witch of theater going? That seems so much better. I know that. I like exposing secrets, and then watching those people turn pale as they wonder how I figured it out. That's when I know I've reached the truth, and it's a moment of ecstasy. There's something seriously wrong with you. You just noticed that, Ange? Well, what does the truth mean to you? Ange was about to give an immediate answer, but she bit back her words, and then she gulped, not knowing how to respond. After all, to Ange, the truth itself is a goal. At first it was out of hatred. Could Ushirimiya Eva, the sole survivor of Rakanjima, be the culprit behind everything? She hated Eva, but she had no proof her aunt was the culprit. And of course, Eva never talked about what happened on the island. At first, the truth meant proof Eva was the culprit in Ange's eyes. However, that feeling withered away with Eva's death. Now that Eva was dead, even if Ange found some kind of proof, it wouldn't mean anything. So eventually, the truth Ange wanted to find became nothing more than the simple desire to know what happened on that island on that day. However, one thing was obvious: even if she did find out, it wouldn't bring any of her family back. It may not mean anything at all. You're gonna expose the truth your beloved Oni-chan is hiding, even though it's meaningless? All truth is meaningless. Girl, you're the only one who's not making sense. Based on, at least Ange's reckoning. Erica laughed mockingly, and Ange laughed too, as though she agreed. And so, my own truth became my goal. You could even call it my reason for living.
生きる意味も目的もなくなっちゃいます
Once you reach the truth, there won't be a point or purpose to you living anymore, right?
そうよ。
Didn't Akasaka ask that? That's right.
だから死ぬの。
So I'll die.
もういいじゃない。
Hasn't it been long enough?
12年も余計に生きたのよ。
I already lived 12 years too
そん
long.
な私に最後の瞬間くらい願いを叶えてくれる魔女が現れても
Don't I at
いい
least
とは思わ
deserve
ない
to have a witch appear and grant my wish in my final moments?
ぶっちゃけると
Put it simply, you're just tired of life?
生きるのにもう疲れたの一言でようやくできちゃいます。そうよ。
Yep.
だから私の存在も生きる目的も何もかもが無意味。
Both my reason for living and my existence are completely
一なる
meaningless.
真実の書にたどり着くという目的はそんな私に人生最後のちょっとしたきらめきを
That's
与
why
えて
this
くれた
goal
わ
of。finding the book of the single truth has put a little sparkle back in my life now that it's nearly
そ
over.
の一点でだけベルンカステルには感謝してるわ。
At least on that score, I'm grateful to Bernkastel.
なるほど。
I see.
バトラはあんたに生きてほしいからあんたの死ぬためのゴールを隠してるわけですね。
Battler wants you to live, so he hit the goal line that would lead to your death.
バトラさんに初めて登場し
Pity
ます。
Battler for the first time.
妹は選べないですからね。
For all you can't choose your little sister. Sorry, Oni-chan. I'm tired of life. For 12 whole years, I've been living off nothing but the illusion that someone might come home someday. Just let me find some peace already, man. Finding the truth of that day is how I've chosen to mark the end of my life. For 12 years, I believed in a miracle, but there was no miracle, so I won't believe in miracles anymore.
一なる真実の書。
The book of the single
内
truth.
心は私も興味津々でしたが、
Of course, I'm also dying to find out what's
そ
in
ん
it.
なあんたの人生のピリオド扱いじゃ大した真実は記されてなさそうですね。
But to be honest, from what I hear, it doesn't sound like the truth inside is something spectacular enough to mark the end of your life with.
そうね。
Yeah.
最初は経典同地の何かが記されているかもと期待したわ。
At first, I hoped there would be something earth-shattering in it. But now,
今は何という
I've
か
calmed down, I guess you could say.
冷めてる。無価値なあんたが求める真実なんてどうせ無価値です。
Why, any truth searched for by a worthless person is bound to be
そ
worthless.
れがあんたという無価値な人生のピリオドにふさわしいでしょう。
It'll make a fitting end to your worthless life.
ええ。
Yep.
きっと。
All over, I'm
そ
sure
う
it
な
will.
のよ。
Ange was already starting to realize something. Regardless of Ava's reason for staying silent, the real events of that day probably weren't anything earth-shattering. Some sort of malfunction made the bomb in the secret underground base explode, yeah. It's just an accident. Who in the public already believed some sort of conspiracy surrounding the events of that day? That's what they expected. Ava was a suspect herself, so of course no one would believe her claim that nothing strange happened. Naturally, NJ didn't believe her either, and in that case, shutting up like a clam would be better than the alternative. It's hardly surprising Ava chose to say nothing. Yeah, she went to a mansion she wasn't aware of. She somehow went to a mansion she wasn't aware of and everyone died at the end. Right now I don't feel any sorts of accomplishment.
よくわからない。気だるい疲労感があるだけよ。
Worn out and listless.
真実の魔女は真実に耐える力があるからこそ真実の魔女なのです。
Well, being able to withstand the truth is what makes someone a wish of
同
truth.
志エンジェ。
Comrade
あん
NJ,
たにはどうやらその力がないようですね。
it looks like you don't possess that strength after all. Come again? Come again?
あったなら死のうなどと思わないのですから。
If you did, you wouldn't be thinking about dying.
そうね。
You're right, I've been two different kinds of witch. Perhaps I'll become a third.
私は誰かが帰ってくるかもしれないという幻想に
I've
12
dreamed
年
someone
も
might
過
come
ぎ
back for 12 years.
私がベアトリーチェの猫箱に都合よく真実を隠して
I've just used Beatrice's cat box to shut the
真
truth.
実を拒否していただけに過ぎな
I
い。
was just denying it for all that time.
一なる真実の書を読んだら
When you read the book of the
あ
single
んた
truth,
はどうなるんでしょうね。
I wonder what'll happen to you.
さあ
Who
契
knows?
約に従いベルンカステルがちょんと私の首でも鎌で買ってくれるんじゃない？
Won't Bernkastel carry out the contract by slicing my head off with a scythe or something?
またひき肉かしら。
Or will I be turned into chunks of meat
今
again?
度こそ 塩と胡椒を練り込まれる。
Maybe I'll get some salt and pepper next time.
なるほど。だからひき肉なわけですね。
So that's where the chunks of meat thing came from.
何か言った？
Did you say something?
いいえ、何も。
No, nothing at all.
それより、おかわりはいかがです？
Anyway, would you like some more tea?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Ange listlessly gazed down from the balcony with no handrail, down into the darkness of the abyss at the bottom of the bookshelf ravine. No, the gap between the bookshelf skyscrapers. From the beginning until the end of my journey, haven't taken a single step away from this spot. This journey of mine, not even a single step long, will end soon. Well, why not open a book while we're here?
あの底を流れてる光の行列は何？
What are those lines of light flowing around at the bottom?
ああ。
Oh, those?
大アウローラ教のパーティーの客人たちの行列でしょう。
Probably a group of guests coming to the great Lady Aurora's party.
客人？
Guests?
元老院の大魔女たちや退屈から逃れる永遠の旅の途中の航海者たちや
Great witches from the Senate, Voyager witches trying to escape boredom in their endless
数
travels.
百年の眠りより目覚めた偉大なる大魔女たちから未来世界を牛耳る魔女や魔女狩りの貴族たちまで
Powerful witches who woke from century-long sleeps, as well as witches who control the future world and noble witch hunters.
今夜は大きなパーティーが催されるようですよ
It seems he's planning on holding a grand party
お
tonight.
誕生パーティーでもするの？
What is it? A birthday party or something?
無限の魔女大ベアトリーチェ教は辺境の魔女なれど
Well, from what I heard, Ange in a ball gown, is that what you're thinking with a party? Damn, alright. What I heard, well, the great Lady Beatrice, the endless witch, is an outsider among witches.
その優れた魔法体系により無限の物語を生み出す無限機関ベアトリーチェの猫箱を生み出した天才魔
She's
女だそ
also
う
the
です
genius who created Beatrice's cat box out of her formidable magical compendium, an endless factory capable of producing endless tales.
私からすれば爪の甘い間抜け魔女なのですがどうやら大魔女の世界ではちょいと知られた有名
From
人
my
の
point
よ
of
う
view,
で
she's a stupid and weak finisher, but in the world of great witches, she's apparently pretty famous.
ベアトリーチェの誕生会でもやるわけ？
So it's Beatrice's birthday party?
我が主はベアトリーチェの腹渡でもつ鍋パーティーと言っています
Oh no, my master says she'll be holding up a dinner party with Beatrice's
だって
guts.
そうじゃないですか
After all, it's only natural, right?
未知なる真実が存在しないから猫箱は無限の物語を生み続けたのです
The cat box was only able to generate infinite tales because there was no single
し
truth.
かし今宵
But tonight,
あんたの鍵によって一なる真実が明かされ
single
ます
truth will be revealed thanks to your
そして
key.
それは猫箱が開かれることを言いま
That
す
means the cat box will be
ま
open
さ
to
に
me.
ベアトリーチェを生きたまま腹を引き裂いてその中身をぶちまけるのと同じこ
No
とっ
different
て
from
わけです
slicing open her chest as she still lives and tearing at what's inside.
そのもつ鍋パーティーにあの高速道路の渋滞みたいな大行列が？
Everyone in that huge crowd that looks like a packed freeway is going to one dinner
ベア
party.
トリーチェの有名さを驚くべきかあの連中のゲス
I
ト
don't know
に
what's
ヘロが
stronger.
出るのが先か
My shock at how
わかりかね
famous
んな
Beatrice is, or my revulsion at those
あん
sleazebags.
たにとって一なる真実の書の中身は
But for
単なる
you,
ピ
the
リオ
book
ド
of the
ミ
single
ステリ
truth
ー
is little more than an end.
でもロッケン島ミステリーを感激する者たちにとっては
However,
これは見過ごせないイベントですから
for all those enjoying the mystery of Rockinjima, this is an event that can't be missed.
なるほどあれはお兄ちゃんのゲーム版を食い破ってたヤギどもの行列というわけなのね
That's a crowd of those goats who were chewing Oni-chan's game board apart. Ange's analogy was an accurate one. The crowd far below them was made of nobles wearing beautiful outfits and goat masks. They were all so intent on tearing the guts out of Beatrice's cat box they couldn't even hide the drool trickling from their mouths. The gluttonous goat nobles who derived pleasure from the violence of exposing the truth were in a line of cars headed towards the meeting place.
猫箱もベアトリーチェも
Well, Looks like the end for Beatrice and the cat box.
ベアトたちはゲーム版の最後の食い残し、黄金鏡に立てこもってます。
Beato and the others have holed up in the Golden Land, last remnants of the game board.
バトラとベアトが門番を務め、第一陣を壊滅させたようですが、第二陣は防げません。
Battler and Beato have strengthened their defenses and destroyed the first wave, but they won't be able to stop the
我が
second.
主は籠城概念破壊の艦隊を与えられました。
My master has given me an armada capable of destroying the very concept of defensive
黄
measures.
金鏡の城壁など、もはや風前の灯火です。
Golden Land's ramparts are as good as gone.
島に湧き出したヤギたちは、島に惨劇を望む未来の妄言が具現化したもの。
They're the personification. Those goats, they're the personification of random opinions in the future. All of them want this tale to be a tragedy.
そうです。
That's
あの
right.
ヤギたちはネットの海からいくらでも生まれてきま
Those
す。
goats keep getting born from the sea of the internet.
第一陣など、所
The
詮は
first wave was just the
うぞうむぞう。
riffraff.
第二陣は違います。
The second wave will be
無
entirely
数
different.
のヤギたちの中から立てこもるすべての駒たち個人個人の否定に特化した
It's made up of the
最
best of the
精鋭
best.
から編成しています。
Elite goats selected from the crowd that are capable of denying all the cowering pieces one by one.
総兵力は10万。
In total, they number in the hundreds of
島に立
thousands.
てこもるほんの数十人を否定するために10万の否定を用意したので
100,000
す。
people to deny the existence of a few dozen hiding on an island.
お兄ちゃんももうおしまいね。
Looks like this is it for Oni-chan
も
too.
う覚悟はされているのです
You sure you're ready?
後ろ宮バトラは1986年に死んでいて、あの彼は猫箱が生み出した幻
You
想であ
understand
ると。
Ushiromiya Battler died in 1986 and this man is an illusion created by the cat box.
ええ。
Yep.
分かってるわ。
I understand. Regardless of whether he's my real brother or an illusion, regardless of whether he's who I'd like him to be or not, the battler who created this game board for my sake will die. I'll just accept the fact that he was already dead, so it's not like he's actually gonna die. Ange thought to herself. Shouldn't performing her brother's last rites be her responsibility? It was her final trial which she had assigned to herself. All those people down on the game board were the personification of Ange's naivety. Naivete? By denying the existence of all of them, wouldn't she finally be able to accept the truth? That's not right. I'm not being honest, even with myself. That bizarre Halloween party might have been an illusion, but that doesn't make it any less heartwarming. Oni-chan said it himself. True, the Halloween party may have been an illusion, however, he's trying to use that party to tell me something.
その第二陣は
About that second wave.
我が主より私が指揮官を務めるよう仰
My
せ
master
つかっていま
appointed
す。
me to be their commander. Oh no, it's
お
Erica.
任せを、エンジェさん。
Leave it to me, Ange-san.
あなた自らに手を汚させるほど我が主は陰湿ではありません。
Master isn't so malicious she'd make you dirty your own hands. That might be kind of her. These are my lingering attachments we're talking about. I should be grateful to Bernkastel. If she really were cruel, she would probably have ordered me to take charge of the second wave and execute my own
ど
family.
うしエンジェ、
Comrade
あんた
Ange,
は真実の魔女なんですよね。
you're a witch of truth, aren't you?
そうよ、多分。
That's right. Probably.
じゃあ受け入れましょうよ。
Then accept the truth,
12
okay?
年を経てようやく本当の一なる真実を。
At last, after 12 years, the single truth lies before you.
私はここでベルンカステルが封印を解き終えるのを気長に待つ
I
と
mean,
す
I'm
る
just sitting around here until Bernkastel breaks the seal.
おそらくはパーティーのゲストとしてあなた
You'll
は呼
probably
び
be
出され
summoned
る
as a
でしょう。
guest for the party.
姿見はありますので目やにでも取ってたらどうです
You've got a mirror. You should probably wipe the sleep from your eye.
あんたこそ出陣前に無駄毛でも抜いてきなさいよ。
And maybe you should shave before heading out to battle. Maybe not as good friends as we were thinking they'd be. It floated there in the empty air. The door to the Golden Land. Its base, there was nothing except some floor tiling about as thick as a rug, so it was fairly hard to imagine this was Kinzo's study. At this point, all the game board except the Golden Land had been eaten away, leaving only this door floating in a sea of nothingness. There were two shapes in front of the door. They were Battler and Beato. They may not have been literally covered with wounds, but they definitely seemed to be dead tired. Battler, leaning against the door, seemed to have finally caught his breath. Beato, also sitting against the door, letting her legs dangle gracelessly. Could the battle against the forest really be called a battle? It was more like a mere pushing contest on the increasingly small bit of ground that remained. They had wanted to protect Kinzo's study, at least, no matter what. And the only fruit of their desperate struggle was the thin bit of flooring they were sitting on now. The goats fell into the abyss whenever they had nowhere to stand, though now with so much of the floor gone, there was no way for them to attack anymore. And if Battler thought this, his naive hopes were quickly crushed. Well, it looks like we're surrounded.
増援を集め、今度こそ一度に押しつぶそうという魂胆であろう。
They probably plan to gather their forces and crush us in a single stroke. The enemy has boats, Oblivion boats. Alright. Stretching across the ocean horizon that surrounded the door at their backs was an encirclement of countless large sailing ships. As they could clearly see, the decks of those ships were packed with goats, with some of the more foolish and overeager ones spilling over the edges into the emptiness below. I guess they get boats. I've gone through a lot of crazy stuff in your game. Man, being surrounded by pirate ships is definitely a first for me.
おそらく黄金鏡の境を打ち破る力を持つのだろう。
They probably do possess the strength to break through the Golden Land's perimeter.
あの大砲もハッタリではあるまい。
Those cannons are no
あれ
bluff.
でこの扉をぶち抜いて一挙になだれ込もうというに違いあるまい。
Doubtless they'll be able to use those to smash through this door and pour in. Along the sides of each ship were several open gun ports, each with a cannon pointed at the door. If this many ships all around them all fired those at once, well, there was no point trying to imagine what would happen next. Battler and Beato grimaced and hung their heads. How long will the Golden Land perimeter hold up against those cannons?
わからぬ。
I don't know.
ただ、あれだけの数を揃えているのに、まだ援軍を待つということは。
However, since they're still awaiting reinforcements, and after amassing that many soldiers, I doubt the barrier is going to break that easily.
確かに。降伏勧告もしないで攻撃の手を休める理由はそれしか考えられない。
I can't think of any other reason to delay your attack without even sending terms for surrender.
奴らが与えるこの時間が我ら
劣勢な側にとって
take advantage of the time they give us.
時間はいつだって味方さ。
Well, time is always the ally of the weaker
何かの
side.
奇跡を期待できるからな。
After all, we can always hope for a miracle.
あるいはさらなる絶望を知ることにもなろうか。
Might just lead us into further despair. Is this Danganronpa or Higurashi, the third and fourth? At that moment, something small and hard hit Battler in the forehead.
なんだこりゃ。コンペイト?
Conpeto?
私よ。
It's me.
わかったわよ。ベルンたちの居場所が。
I know where Bern and the others are. The candy was Lambda Delta's transformed body. She was the only one of their allies capable of crossing the Sea of Fragments.
Oh!
Actually,
さすがは大ラムダデルタ卿。
that's the great lady Lambda Delta for you.
ここじゃ奴らに姿を見られるわ。
They can see us here.
中で話をしましょう。
Talking
一筋縄じゃいかないことになってるわ。
This is starting to get messy.
わかった。
Got it.
誰かいるか?
Is anyone there? When Battler knocked on the door, it opened and Shannon and Cannon came into view.
はい、お呼びですか?
You called for us?
すまぬが、見張りを頼む。
We need you two to keep a lookout.
お任せを。
Leave it to us.
奴らが攻撃を開始したら、戦う必要はない。
When they begin the attack, don't worry about
す
fighting.
ぐに黄金鏡に逃げ込め。
Escape to the Golden Land as soon as they
扉を
start.
閉めなくていい。
Don't worry about closing the door.
しかし、それでは。
奴らは、扉なんか無視して、直
They're
接
planning
黄
to
金鏡
ignore
を
the
ぶっ
door.
壊す気だ。
They're gonna smash the Golden Land
ここ
directly.
で仁王立ちしてたって、もう何も防ぐことはできや
Making
し
a
ない。
last stand here won't do anyone any good.
わかりました。
Understood. We'll take care here. Go inside and work on a counterattack. I like how Battler is talking to 3 of his pieces like he doesn't know what they're gonna say. And also all 3 of them are just Beatrice. We shall. I'm counting on you. Beatrice is just a blonder Shannon who doesn't stop. Battler and Beato traded places with Shannon and Cannon and returned to the Golden Land. A gentle rain poured down over the Golden Land's rose garden. The weather here reflected the hearts of those inside it. The quietly falling raindrops spoke for the pain they felt by those who could do nothing but hide there, waiting for the enemy's final assault. When they returned to the arbor, the piece of Competo flew out of Battler's pocket. It jumped onto the table and returned to its original form. I haven't had a thrill like this for years. Hard to imagine. I found myself in a tense situation even after becoming a witch like this. Oh my goodness. Right. Let's get down to business. To defeat the Huns, or sorry,
Ange and Bernkastel たちは一
where
体
are
どこ
Ange and Bernkastel?
図書の都よ。
Well, they're in the city of books.
聞いたことがあります。
I've heard of it.
海を渡る偉大なる魔女たちが集めたさまざまなかけらを
Is
書
no
物
one
に
pointing
記
out
し
that a quarter of the
保管
cast is
した
one
地があ
person?
ると。
It's true though. They say it's a place where great witches, travelers of the sea, store countless fragments in the form of books.
尊厳なる感激と戯曲と傍観の魔女により厳選されし、名誉ある図書の都。
You mean the great witch of theater going, drama and spectating's noble city of carefully selected books, yes?
大アウローラ教は図書の都の主だ。
The great lady Aurora is the ruler of the city of
なる
books.
ほど。妥当な場所であるな。
Indeed, it would be a fitting place for those two to go.
しかし、さすがはラムダデルタ教ね。
Sasuka Lambda Delta. Nice going!
無数に想定された隠れ家からこんなにも早く居場所を突き止められるなんて。
Hard to believe you could pick out that spot so quickly from all the other possible hiding places.
それがね、簡単に分かっちゃったわ。
It's pretty easy.
分かるも何も、向こうで大々的に宣伝をしているわ。
I didn't even have to look since they're advertising it as loud as they
無限
can.
の魔女、大ベアトリーチェ教の猫箱の秘密、大公開パーティーってね。
They're planning a huge party to celebrate the announcement of a great secret, the secret to the cat box, the great Lady Beatrice, Endless Witch.
なるほどな。奴らがまだ攻めてこぬ理由は援軍待ちではなく、
So they aren't delaying their attack because they await reinforcements, but because the party hasn't begun.
そのパーティーとやらでエンジェの鍵を使って一なる真実の書を公開するということなのか。
So in this party, they plan to use Ange's key and reveal the contents of the book of the single truth.
そういうことね。
Got it.
アウローラは久しぶりのイベントなんで、各界から賓客を集めて大パーティーを催してるわ。
Aurora hasn't held an event like this for ages, and she's gathering VIP guests from all over the place.
一なる真実の書はそのパーティーの最後の目玉になるでしょうね。
The book of the single truth will probably be the party's final showpiece.
エンジェと鍵を取り戻すチャンスはまだあるってことか。
That means we still have a shot at taking NJ and the key back.
時間的猶予という意味ではね。
Time-wise, that might
た
be
だ
true.
とてもシンプルかつ当然な問題が。
There's a simple and obvious problem.
なんだ。
What?
図書の都は元老院の管理下にある聖域よ。
The City of Books is a sacred realm under the supervision of the Senate.
神聖な結界が張られている。
It's protected by a holy
元
barrier.
老院の魔女以外は踏み入ることさえできない。
Only a witch of the Senate can enter it.
パーティーの招待客には元老院に
Have
席
they
を持たぬ
invited
者
any
もいるので。
non-senators to the party?
ええ、いるわ。
They have.
そういう連中には特別に聖域に踏み入ることを許可する招待状が与えられてるみたい。
It's like they're being given special invitations which allow them to enter the sacred realm for a limited time.
招待状。
Invitations.
これは
Now
面
this
白
could be
くなって
interesting.
きましたな。
と私も思ったわ
That's what I
よ。
thought.
ところがこの招待状、遅刻厳禁でパーティー開始時刻までに入場受付をしてないと
Like
自動的に効果を失う優れもの。
There's a strict policy on punctuality, so these invitations automatically become useless unless you present them before the party
そ
begins.
してお気の毒なことに、ついさっきパーティーは始まっちゃったわ。
And I'm afraid to say the party started a short while ago.
つまり遅刻した来客の誰かから招待状を奪うという手は
It's too late to steal an invitation from a guest who's running late.
そういうこと。
That's right.
で、どうすんのこれから。
So what now?
誰かポップコーンもらえる？
Can someone give me some popcorn?
今度はキャンディーフレーバーがいいわ。
I want some candy flavor this time.
門外漢で恐縮だが、もはやお手上げに思えるね。
As an outsider, I'd hate to barge into this, but we seem to have no options left. Well, you'll have to think of something.
私たちはもうおしまいなのです。
Already done for, aren't we? Come up with a
ここ
plan.
で座ったまま
Can we do
奴
anything?
らが襲ってくるまで
Let's
待って
sit
るし
here
かない
until
の
they attack.
何かできることがあるはずだわ。
There's gotta be something we can do.
そうね。
That's right.
私たちにできることは
There's one thing we can
一つだ
do.
けあるわ。
それは
And what's that?
1分1秒でも悪あがきして奇跡を待つことや。
We can keep on struggling for each second of survival and hope for a miracle.
奇跡
A miracle?
つまりこいつはアラモの砦ってわけさ。
Stuck defending the Alamo?
私たちに幸福は
No,
ない。
surrender isn't enough.
できるのは1分1秒でも持ちこたえて
We can
奇
only
跡
hold
が
out
起
as
こ
long
る
as
の
we
を待つ
can
ことだけね。
and hope for a miracle. Not a great plan. Not a great plan. Doesn't rely on your own abilities.
奇跡って
What kind of miracle?
エンジェが何かの理由で気
There's
が
a
変わっ
chance,
て
maybe 1 in a million,
ここへ戻ってくる可能性が
that NJ
何
changes
百
her
万
mind for
分
some
の1
reason
の確率であるか
and
も
comes
しれない
back.
そのような極小の確率の末ならば、
Well, with a
それは
probability like
確
that,
かに奇跡と呼べる
it
であ
really
ろ
would be a
う
million
な。
or a miracle.
私たちはエンジェさんの帰りを待つためにここにいるんです。
We're here to await NJ-san's return.
ええ。エンジェさんの帰る場所は私たちのいるここだけなんです。
This right here is the only place NJ-san can call
だ
home.
から私たちは最後の1秒までここを守って彼女の帰りを待たなければならないんです。
Waiting for her to come back. Good luck.
留守をお預かりすることこそ使用人の役目。
Awaiting the return of one's master is a servant's duty.
こうとなればこの号だ。もう覚悟は決まっております。
I go to and prepared for whatever may come.
バトラ様、
Adler-sama.
我ら一同すでに覚悟は決まっております。
All of us are prepared.
シエスタ姉妹この得体一同命約に基づき最後まで大ベアトリーチェ教とご一緒するであります。
Yeah, get cooking some bombs. You're gonna need them to prove your bomb theory right. And it's okay. If we feed all the goats bombs, we'll kill them all. You need a lot of bombs, though. We of the Siester Sisters Imperial Guard will fulfill our oath and remain by the Great Lady Beatrice's side until the bitter end.
45問題ありません。
25 here, no problem.
最後まで戦います。
I'll fight until the end.
ようやく似合いの死に場所を見つけ
A
た
fitting
に。
place to die. Yeah.
410問題ないに。
No problem. Some 410.
煉獄の七姉妹最後までベアトリーチェ様とバトラ様のおそばに。
The 7 sisters of Purgatory will stay with Beatrice-sama and Balor-sama until it's all over. The 6 younger sisters also showed their resolve with their eyes.
アイゼルネ・ユングフラウ
Eisen Jungfrau
最後までお供します。
will serve until the end. Very dedicated for someone who's directly opposed to them.
もいいぜ。
This former SSVD's got your back too. Wait, how can this guy not leave?
そしてあなたもどうか私たちに
I
力を。
ask you lend us your power as well. Aren't these guys Lambda Delta's PCs? Surely they can leave this game board with Lambda Delta.
私
Me? Me?
だよ。
No way, no way.
偵察してきてあげたじゃない。
Didn't I just give you some excellent
そ
intel?
れで私は十分協力をしてあげたつもりだけ
I've
ど。
done more than my fair share, haven't I? Don't you? Don't you think that?
あなたはエンジェちゃんが図書の都の中にい
How do
る
you
のを
know NJ's in the
どうやっ
city
て
of
確
books?
認したんですか。
もちろんこの目でよ。
Well, I saw her with my own eyes, of course.
私自分の目で見たものしか信用しな
I
いたちな
never
の。
trust anything unless I see it for myself.
ということは
This means you're qualified to enter the sacred realm. Notice the city of books, right?
そうとも。
Indeed.
大ラムダデルタ教は元老院の大魔女であらせられるぞ。
Great Lady Lambda Delta is the witch of the Senate, after all.
ラムダデルタ
Lambda Delta.
何よ、あんたたち。
What's with you guys?
まさか、私にもう一
You're not
働
gonna
きしろ
tell
っ
me
て
to
言
do
ってん
more
じゃ
work,
ないわ
are
よ
you?
ね。
これはこれは
What an
思わ
unexpected
ぬ出
development.
番だね。
図書の都に入ることができるのはラムダデルタ教ただ一人。
It's not this game board known as Game, it's the game board known as Beato's game. I'm aware of that. The point is that Willard is not from Beato's game. He was introduced as coming from outside the game board. For coming from one game board to another game board. Beato's game. So Willard should be able to escape. I don't know about Leon. Leon seems to be from within the game board. And just introduced at the start of game 8. Or the start of 7, I guess. Like the start of the previous games. But Willard is introduced in his initial scene as being in a completely unrelated setting. Lambda Delta is the only one who can enter the city of books.
ということは、これはまさにラムダデルタ教のための見せ場ということじゃない。
This is Lady Lambda Delta's time to shine.
バカ言ってんじゃないわよ。あんたたち正気？
I'm not kidding around. Are you guys crazy?
私がたった一人で
You're telling me to go all by
あそ
myself.
こへもう一度侵入して
Sneak in there one more
エ
time.
ンジェを連れ戻してこいっての。
Bring Ange back out here. The several dozen people surrounding Lambda Delta all nodded in unison.
バカも休み休みお言いなさいよね。
Stupid can you be?
エンジを助け出すってことは大アウローラのパーティーをぶっ壊せってことよ。
Save Ange. I'll be crashing the Great Aurora's party. Get
私
it?
に世界を敵に回せってこと？
I'd have the whole world as my enemy.
私に見返りはないわ。
What's in it
ある
for
わ
me?
けない。
Nothing. Obviously.
あんたたちに用意できるどんな見返りだって
There's nothing you could possibly offer
大
me.
アウローラとその愉快な友人の化け物たちを敵に回すことと割が合うわけなんてない。
Getting on the bad side of Aurora and her monster friends.
大アウローラと大ベルンカステルの目論見を台無しにし
You get to see a happy ending where Aurora and Bernkastel's schemes are crushed.
エンジェちゃんを連れ戻しみんなで和
Ange
解す
comes
るという
back.
ハッ
Everyone
ピーエ
makes
ンドが
peace
見ら
with
れ
one
ます。
another.
どうであるかラムダデルタ教。
What do you say, Lady Lambda
こ
Delta?
れほどのスリル
There
他
could
に
be
は
no
ないぞ。
greater thrill.
それほどの大事を成し遂げればそなたも病を1000年は忘れることができるのではないか。
If you pulled off such a marvelous feat, you'd be able to forget your illness for 1,000 years, wouldn't you?
頼むラムダデルタ
Begging you, Lambda Delta.
俺たちに力を貸してくれ
Lend us your power. Please, please, we're begging you. Help us save NJ. Everyone surrounded Lambda Delta asking for help.
どうか頼むラムダデルタ教。
Lady Lambda
そなたし
Delta.
かおらぬのだ。
Only you can do this.
力を貸してくれ
Give us your strength.
俺がお前に最高の物語を見せてやる
Show you the greatest of
そ
tales.
いつを最前列で見せてやるか
Get
ら
to see it from the front row.
だから力を貸してくれ
Lend us your strength.
うるさ
Shut
い黙れっつってんでし
the hell up. Alright. Is that a no? Pulling the rug on Featherine, you can't get dumber than that. Lambda Delta leapt to her feet and crushed the cob of popcorn in her hands. Sweet candy-flavored popcorn flew all over the place, hitting everyone in the face. It might have looked funny, however no one laughed. Lambda Delta's face was filled with a rage none of them had seen before.
勘違いしないでくれる。
Please stop getting the wrong idea.
私は観客よ観客。
A spectator! A spectator!
ペアトに招かれてそのゲームを見物に来ただけの客人
I'm a guest, invited by Beto to come and watch
よ。
this
そ
game.
の私がなんであんたたちのために命までかけなきゃなんない
Why
わけ？
am I risking my life for you
エ
people?
ンジェが帰ってきたらハッピーエンド？
You think you get a happy ending if Ange
バ
comes
カ
back?
じゃない？
Are you that stupid?
怒り狂ったベルンとその軍勢が一気になだれ込んできてブチッと潰されておしまいじゃない。
Our forces will come sweeping through here mad with rage and wipe us all out.
私がここにいる理由はたった一つよ。
There's only one reason I'm here.
それは面白い物語が見られるとそこのリオンに単価を切られたから。
And that's because Leon over there said I'd get to see an interesting show.
そして私はもうじき最高に面白い物語が見られることを信じて疑わないわ。
And now I'm sure I'll get to see a sublimely interesting tale very soon.
それは排水の陣でベルンの軍勢と戦って一人また一人と散っていく悲しい悲しい物語。
Sad tragedy as you fight desperately against Burn's forces and get wiped out one by one.
全員に散り際の見せ場がありそうだもんね。
I'm sure you'll each get one last time to shine as you're torn apart.
それを間近でもうじき感激できるのよ。
I mean, all I have to do is just wait a little and I can see all
あん
that
た
one.
たちはもうじきみんな
Pretty
死
soon.
ぬの。
All of you will be
でも私は違
Not
う。
me. Not me.
私は観客よ。
I'm a
客人よ。
spectator. I
あん
guess.
たも一緒に死んでくれなんて言われる筋合い
There's
はこれっぽっちも
no
ないん
reason
だ
for
か
me to
ら。
die with you. No one was able to say a word. In the still silence, there was no sound except that of rain. Even Lambda Delta finally hung her head in dismay.
ごめんね。
Sorry.
私ってば最高にかっこ悪いわ。
I'm totally lame, aren't I?
そうよね。ここで私が任せておきなさいって胸を叩いたら、私の人気はうなぎ登りで、次の人気投票はトップ3くらいに入っちゃうかもね。
I mean, sure. If I stood up right now and said leave it to me, my popularity would probably surge and I'd be making it into the top 3 in the next character ranking
で
contest.
もね、
But still,
私はあんたたちと違って、物語の登場
unlike the
人
rest of
物
you,
じゃない
I'm
の。
not a character who appears in the story. Aren't you a trap maker?
死ねないのよ。
I can't
あ
die.
んたたちが深夜に、クライマックスはこれからだとか意気込んでるけど、
It's like midnight, you're telling me the climax of the show is coming
私
soon.
は明日、月曜で学校で、日直で朝は起床が早い
Or
わ
it's
けよ。
Monday. I got early cleaning duty at school.
住んでる世界が違うの。
We live in different worlds.
だからさ、私をさ、
It's so. Lambda Delta staggered as though dizzy and then plopped down into a chair. Then she became expressionless like a doll, just staring at a single point in space silently.
すまん。
Sorry. Battler softly apologized. However, Lambda Delta remained expressionless.
俺たちにできることも尽くさないのに。
Not fair for us to force you to risk something
あ
on
ん
your
たに
own.
だけ何かを失うようにし
Not when we haven't yet exhausted all our
フェアじゃない。
options. No response from
俺たち
Lambda.
はここで戦い、最後の1秒まで
We'll fight here and defend this
ここを
spot until the last moment.
エンジェが一なる真実よりも
We'll believe in the miracle of
俺たちを
NJ
選び
choosing us over the single truth.
それも尽くさないのにあんたに
If we weren't prepared to do that,
俺たちと一緒に命を捨ててくれなんて
we could hardly ask you to give up your life along with the rest of us. Battler rose from his seat and spun around.
バトラ、
Battler?
見張りの二人と交代してくれ
I'll switch places with the pair
俺
outside.
が奴らと戦う時の先人
When the
であり
enemy
たい
comes, I want to be in the front
そ
lines.
れが今すぐ俺がラムダデルタに見せられる
That's the fastest and
俺の
most direct
決意だ
way. I can show Lambda Delta my determination.
わらわも行くぞ。
I'll go as
お師
well.
匠様はラムダデルタ教に新しいポップコーンを頼む。
Teacher, please find Lady Lambda Delta some more popcorn.
ベアト、
Beto?
エンジェは必ず帰る。
I know Ange will return.
信じねば、実る奇跡も実らぬというもの。
Without belief, even miracles that might have occurred won't.
くじを買わねば
Can't win a lottery
当たることもないのだからな。
without buying a ticket. Beto stood up and followed Battler.
みんな
Everyone,
戦いに備え
let's do
何
what
か
we
の
can
準
to
備をし
prepare
よ
for
う
that fight.
賛成だぜ。ここでうつむいてたってバカバカしい
It's
ぜ。
stupid to just sit around here doing nothing.
そうだな。
Good point.
最後くらい景気よく行こうぜ。
Let's at least give him a good show at the end.
エンジェちゃんの帰る場所を守らな
Gotta
く
make
ちゃ。
sure there's a place NJ can call home.
私たちも作戦会議が必要です
We should hold a strategic conference too.
そうだな。家具に武具に悪魔
We
に
have
異
furniture,
端審問
weapons,
官だ。
demons, and inquisitors on
こ
our
のち
side.
ぐはぐ連合軍でうまく連携を取らなきゃな。
There's gotta be some way for these mismatched forces to cooperate.
さあ妹たち、
Let's go, little
休憩
sisters.
の時間は終わりよ。
Break time's over.
シエスタ対起立。
Siesta troops rise. Where's the rest of the Siesta troops? We only got 3 people. Humans and illusions rose to their feet and left the arbor. Afterwards, only Lambda Delta remained, staring blankly at a point in empty space. The black tea smells nice. Is it instant or perhaps from a tea bag? Would you like some too, Comrade Ava? For out of cups, you'll have to use a funnel. A gold butterfly drifted onto the balcony and turned into Ava. How's Bernkastel doing? Will it be a while longer before she breaks the seal on the book of the single truth? That's what I came to talk about. She says the seal's been broken. Congratulations. The time has finally come. The period to mark the end of your life. Take the key and go to Lady Bernkastel. One of her cat familiars will guide you. 2 emerald sparkles flew in. They were the green glinting eyes of a black cat. The cat flicked its tail elegantly with the dignity of a high-class attendant. Got it. Then I'll be back in a bit. Ange rose from her seat. She did it casually, although she was really just heading out for a short trip. However, her lips would probably never touch her half-finished cup of tea again. We weren't together long, but I enjoyed it. Getting to learn what disgust for your own kind is like was an enlightening experience. Oh, interesting. I just noticed that the pink orbs in her hair are now black. I assumed they would stay pink even through her witch transformation, but they're now orbs of pure darkness. Same here. Next time we meet, you'll have to teach me the trick to making tea this terrible. We have a future witch outside the cat box. What should we find in this final game? I think we already saw that, so I'm not going to reread it. Are you happy? Oh, now. You'll finally get to learn the secret I've been hiding from you for these past 12 years. I'm happy. Now I can finally understand how Erica feels. Like taking a shot back at you, exposing the secret that you kept until your death. And is it a good feeling? Well, it's better than nothing. Ange nodded toward the black cat to let it know she was ready. The cat nodded back in a refined manner, indicated it wanted Ange to follow, and leapt from the balcony. Without turning back, Ange followed it, jumping out into the air as though swimming. Ava watched her go. An expression of ridicule and scorn failed to cross her face. Good luck, Ange. This is the path you've chosen. You aren't 6 years old anymore. Badly would disagree. You're 18. Choose how to live your own life. An overprotective aunt you are. I'm going to watch the ceremony. For you. Almost time to begin the attack. I'm headed for the ships. Gotta go pick up Beato's corpse. If we're not the party, can have her guts. I get to keep her skin, so let's stuff and mount it. So even Rockenjima's tale, wrapped in a veil of mystery, is about to meet its end. Means it's the end for you. I mean, you are a piece from there, right? Piece is all I am. The role of a piece is to remain faithful to its role until the game ends.
駒の役目じゃない。
It's not a piece's place to worry about what happens after the game's over.
そうですね。
Very true.
それは私も同じです。
It's the same for me.
お互い今のこのひとときを楽し
Enjoy
みま
this
しょう。
time while we have it.
では、私もこれで失礼します。
Allow me to take my leave.
じゃあね。お仕事頑張ってね。
Good luck with your work. After exchanging elegant bows, the two witches vanished at the same time. Nothing remained but some half-finished teacups and the aroma of the tea itself. Everyone's headed off to their final battles, or at least to watch it. One after another, luxury cars stopped in front of a high-class hotel in the city, and guests began to step out of them. The reveal of the truth, and perhaps the destruction of Battler's game board, Beto and Battler's game board, and the end of Rockinjima might be upon us. I'm afraid we're not going to find that one out tonight.